Sanbonani Dumelang Molweni, good day. I'm Dr. Veline Holness, and I'm your facilitator this morning. We are at the University of KwaZulu-Natal's Law Professions Day for 2022. We are from the campuses of Pietermaritzburg as well as Howard College. For the next 2 hours, we have a jam-packed panel of experts that will take us through some of the offerings that 5 firms have for graduates or soon-to-be graduates interested in joining the legal profession. As we know, COVID-19 has been a major disruptor for legal services, amongst other aspects of our lives, but post-pandemic, we are also in an era of great excitement with the opportunities that artificial intelligence, data, and ethics pose for the legal profession. Without further ado, it is my job to welcome, with great honor, Professor Warren Friedman, who will be addressing us and welcoming us on behalf of the Dean of the School of Law, Professor Manegay Reddy. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Veline. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, our Dean and Head of School, Professor Manegay Reddy, has another unavoidable commitment this morning, and she's asked me to welcome you to the second day of the School of Law's second Virtual Law Professions Day. I'd like to begin by welcoming the Director of Proceedings this morning, my colleague, Dr. Veline Holness, and the Director of Proceedings this afternoon, Dr. Bridget Clark. It also gives me great pleasure to welcome our presenters, Mr. Kashia Singh of Bowmans, Ms. Fakile Mavangwa of McRobert's Attorneys, Ms. Kekaletso Sekhlako of Allen and Overy, Advocate Minette Niman of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, Ms. Sharon King and Ms. Michelle Naidu of Mooney Ford Attorneys, Mr. Jared Jackprasad of J. Leslie Smith and Company, Ms. Latchet Maestri of Stowell and Company, Ms. Nicolene Naidu of Livingston Leandy Incorporated, Ms. Chesney Naidu of Worksmans Attorneys, and Ms. Siham van der Ross of Legal Aid. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Emmanuel Hinson from Ilovo Sugar, South Africa, for his support to the law school, and to welcome my colleagues in the School of Law, and especially our students and their families who are viewing this event online. Despite the fact that we are still operating under a state of national disaster and functioning largely on an online basis, I'm very pleased that our students will have the opportunity to engage with you in preparation for their entry into the legal profession. Although online engagements are very different from, and perhaps not as rich as, in-person engagements, I have no doubt that our students will benefit enormously from the presentations they will see today and from the opportunity to interact with you and to have their questions answered. We greatly appreciate the law firms and organizations that are present here today, and we are especially grateful for the opportunities that you have provided to our students on an ongoing basis over many years to achieve their. We are particularly proud of the fact that among the presenters, both UKZN School of Law graduates, some of whom are now partners or directors in their law firms. We believe that this speaks to the quality of our graduates and to the rigor of our law. On behalf of the Dean, I also want to assure you that the move to online teaching and learning since 2020 has not adversely affected our students' knowledge and skill set. In fact, we would argue that our students have acquired additional skills during this period, such as the ability to conduct online consultations and to argue cases on a virtual platform. These are vital skills that lawyers will need going into the future, because this is the direction in which the legal profession seems to be heading. As we are all aware, these are difficult economic times and jobs are scarce. I am therefore grateful to every firm and organization present here today for providing our students with opportunities for employment. Thank you very much. Should you employ a graduate from this school, the consequences are often far-reaching and transformatory, not only for the individual in question, but also for his or her entire family and community. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a very successful event, and I hope that we can meet next year in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. It now is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Kashir Singh from Bowmans, and I believe he is joined by two colleagues, Ms. Charlene Ledwaba, who is the Graduate Development and Recruitment Manager, and Ms. Riatile Molefi, who is the Graduate Recruitment Administrator. Mr. Kashir Singh is the Graduate Recruitment Manager of Bowmans. Thank you, Kashir.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the Bowmans stand at the UKZN Career Fair. I'm going to play a video for you all. Can you please confirm if you do see this video?
Yes, go ahead.
There is a continent on the rise. A continent that is 1 billion people strong. A continent with a rapidly developing urban population. A continent that is home to 3 of the top 10 fastest growing economies in the world. Africa, a vast continent with vast potential value. A dynamic, colorful, and increasingly complex place. A place that is creating greater opportunities, but also greater risk and competition for our clients and for ourselves. So as a firm, how do we keep pace? How do we become the leading Pan-African law firm for our corporate clients? How can we be different from our competitors? In truth, we have always known that our clients value our knowledge of the law, and knowledge of the continent. We just haven't owned that position until today. Our knowledge is like a tree, rooted in African soil through our geographic footprint, built on a century's worth of experience, helping our clients navigate complex matters. Trees tell of their experience, their deep understanding of the place they are rooted. They represent a journey, growing progressively outward, perfectly integrated, unified as one. In modern academia, the theory of knowledge is represented by 3 concentric rings. The first ring represents areas of knowledge. The second represents the ways of knowing. And at the epicenter is identity and the knowers. The same thing we strive to be in Africa. Africa, a continent of complexity, diversity, and vast potential. A continent of opportunity that demands an experienced, knowledgeable, and integrated legal services partner. One team with local understanding and insight, able to unlock the value of Africa. The value of knowing means we know Africa. We acknowledge its vast potential. We understand that diversity is our strength. We embrace a collective future. We strive for the highest standards. Because we have walked the path of experience, we can leverage what we have learned, discover what lies obscure, unlock unknown potential, and lay the path for all towards true prosperity. We believe that in Africa, true value lies in knowing. Bowmans, the value of knowing.
Morning, everyone. As I was introduced earlier, my name is Kashir Singh, and I am joined by my colleague Charlene Ledwaba, who has joined Bowmans in a new role as a graduate development recruitment manager. And I also have my colleague Ria Tile, who will join us intermittently. And both of us are based in the Sandton office, although we work very hard to connect the distance between the two cities. And I've communicated with our colleagues at UKZN. We can't wait to see you back on campus as soon as possible. But until then, we'll use this interface as best as we can to bridge the gap between our locations. Charlene, I'll give you a few minutes to do an introduction and then we'll get into the meaty part. Normally we spend the whole day with everyone on campus, but I'm sure you have a lot to say from your old experience. UKZN has always been warm to us, Charlene.
Thanks so much, Cash. I appreciate it. Hi, guys. As Cash has introduced me already, my name is Charlene Ledwaba. Been with Bowmans for about a month now, so 4 weeks literally on the 1st of, and I'm super excited to see today. I've heard lots of great things about UKZN out of the university and in my past students from UKZN. So I'm excited about today. All the best, Cash.
Thank you, Charlene. Under normal circumstances, I would have loved to hear a lot from our students, but I'll cover the general aspects of what Bowmans has to offer a law graduate coming from UKZN, and hopefully a lot more detail can be found on our website or by getting in touch with Charlene, Ria Tile, or myself. And like I said, hopefully in time, we can see you on campus. So as some of you may know, and those who don't, Bowmans is a corporate law firm. We have branches in the Sandton district of Johannesburg. We have a branch in Westville district in Durban, as well as in the City Bowl in Cape Town. These are just our South African offices, but we have a number of offices into Africa. And we do have recruitment opportunities in Mauritius, Kenya, and a little bit in Tanzania. But as you would know, that is dedicated to people from those law schools. So just for those who are curious with regards to being a foreign national and willing to apply for a career in law in South Africa or those countries, please do go to our website, submit your application, and you'll see that you are allowed to do so. But we are obviously governed by the Legal Practice Act, which does require a person to be a citizen or have a permanent residence. Ria Tile and myself go through all the applications on Leaply, which is our dedicated application portal. And through your processing, through us processing your application there, you will then be kept up to date with regards to the status of your application, whether it's gone over to the next stage or whether it was progressed to being an interview or declined at the end of that program. Please note, we are currently recruiting for articles starting in the year 2024, and soon we will open the portal up for applications that will start with people starting in the year 2025. Just to repeat, it's 2024 and soon 2025. And yes, the corporate law firms, if you haven't heard already from your experience of yesterday's presentations and from the remainder of today's, we recruit typically 2 years ahead of time. This is dependent on the degree that you study, whether it's a 4-year degree or a 5-year degree. And obviously, by the time you understand where you want to submit your application or you want to serve your articles, a lot of firms, and Bowmans is one of them, we invite you to do your VAC work with us. Because of the COVID pandemic, we've worked very hard to create a virtual experience program. I will share the details with you at the end of our session here. That is open to everybody to do in their own capacity. We have an exercise in competition law. We have an exercise in litigation, mergers, acquisitions, banking law, and employment law for you to give your best at. What happens then is you do get a certificate of completion. And what we realize is that thus far our program has been doing very well, with almost 5,000 people completing the course around the world, with most people doing it in sub-Saharan Africa. Thereafter, you're more than welcome to even try applying at our VAC work program. That happens twice a year, and applications for the next VAC work program is open at the moment. That is also managed through Leaply, and you'll see at bowmans.com, bowmanslaw.com. That's where our application links are. Please note that Considering the circumstances that we may be facing this year, the firm is reviewing how we will conduct our vacation work. We look forward to hosting the students back in our buildings, but we need to be compliant with COVID regulations. Even though things are changing, we do not have any certainty at this stage as to what it will be in the coming months. So we'll keep the successful candidates up to date as to what the decision will be then. Later on in the year, we also offer a bursary program portal to apply for. That'll open on the 1st of August, and we invite all students doing a law degree to submit their application later on. We time it around that time because we do want to see how you perform in your first semester of the current academic year. And then naturally, based on that timing, we're looking at sponsoring you for your funds in the following year. In our situation at hand, we'll be looking at the academic year of 2023. And then the last big program that we would offer at the end of this year is the final vacation work program, which we used to call the summer vacation work program. And similarly to the winter one that I spoke about just now, we'd like to host you all in the building, but that will be subject to what the circumstances will be at that time. The applications for the summer vacation program will open up around August as well. So there's a lot going on at Bowmans, and I think the big part as to why we have these programs is to introduce you to the sector of law and not necessarily throw you in the deep end without any guidance, support, or development to ensure that you do realize your full potential of becoming an attorney. At Bowmans, we understand that you are young talent and you've learned all that you have to at institutions like UKZN, both at Gough Road and Howard College. But you do need that practical experience of working with one of our principals, our partners, the associates, and your senior candidate attorneys to understand how to flex the skills that you learned from your lecturers in the world of law. As you would have seen, there's a lot of things going on in South Africa. And personally, I'm very, very proud of the potential we have in our legal administrators of all levels. However, practical experience has come to bear a lot more fruit than just focusing on the theory. And at Bowmans, we understand that we must keep up the groove, and we are actually looking to increase the number of people coming from the UKZN campus. So please do send your applications through. We get a lot of applications from around the country, especially for the South African opportunities. And we do urge you all to apply on time. And if you have any questions, please do not be shy to ask us. Get in touch with Riatile, Charlene, or myself directly when we're on campus, our phone numbers, our emails, and we're more than happy to assist you in those processes. Under normal circumstances, I would open up the floor to more questions. And I think unless Charlene or Riatile have anything urgently to say, I'll try and address some of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat.
Happy for you, Cash, to address the questions on my end.
Thank you.
Nothing from you, Cash.
Thank you, Charlene. I see Lesha says, what key aspects does the recruitment team look for in application? What common errors are made in applications that get them rejected? I think, Lesha, we can go on to a lot of details with regards to this question, but I think the biggest point that I want to share is be honest. Be honest, be accurate, and the rest will leave itself. If you are able to tell us where you want to go and what you've done to get yourself there, that will only add to the efforts that the firm was willing to contribute to your mission so that we help you reach that destination. A lot of times in terms of students getting rejected, it's not necessarily because of the admin part. A lot of people follow the Leaply prompts. The system is used because it does help students create the CV in the best way that it can. And so the rejection part would definitely be in terms of you meeting the criteria on an extramural basis or an academic basis. That is left subject to each application, and we screen the applications as a team. Okay, I see Chantrice just asked, I trust you are well. Regarding Leaply, screening questions for Bowmans, the 2024 program, I want to know if it's acceptable to have the same answers on both applications. Most of the questions are the same, but would you rather have to write up? It would depend when you are completing these questions. Obviously, like I said, the answers must be honest and accurate. And if there's anything that has changed between your two applications, please give us the latest version. That would be my answer for that one. Okay. Shavanya asked, under the circumstances that we do not have our academic records or are waiting for it, what documents can we submit as temporary replacement for it? Shavanya, you can send your latest academic transcript, the latest one that you would have received from the faculty. I see that Hazel is also sharing the link to the Facebook page. So for those who are able to share, on your social media platforms, please do. And I think from our side, I'll wrap up with leading you to our social media platforms. You can follow Bowmans on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Facebook. We are very active on LinkedIn, where our colleagues in the various specialities, particularly shipping law, competition law, labor law, litigation, and those are just some of the very many. I can't list all of them at the moment. They all post podcasts, notifications, updates on things that they are allowed to share. So I do urge everyone to follow us on LinkedIn, and you can see what do corporate lawyers do in the space should you join a big 5 law firm like ours. For those who are interested about the location, most of our candidate attorneys sign up in either the Johannesburg office or the Cape Town office, but from time to time, we do have limited opportunity for someone to join us in the Durban office. However, once you've probably realized by now, actually, the virtual world has made distance something of a less pertinent matter, and we have lawyers working on matters that are cross-border, cross-continental, and well, in between cities as well, but sitting in various locations. I'm just reading Sipendile's note here. In terms of bursaries, our first years included. Yes, Sipendile, with the Bowmans bursary program, people who are currently in the matric year are also welcome to apply for our bursary program later this year. And obviously first years are also welcome to apply. All right, so I do hope Sipendile will see your application soon enough. And I think Hazel, my time is running low. So I'd like to just ask for a few more minutes to play with a video from our chairman.
Yes, Hazel, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Belinda.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Singh. We have a very urgent hand from Kudzai Nyika. If you could please, we will let him ask his question, and then if you could answer, please.
Yes, happy to help. Thanks for that, Dr. Holness. Kudzai, how can I help you?
You can unmute yourself, Kudzai. I've allowed you to speak. Unless it was an error. Kudzai, please unmute.
I'm so sorry, there was an error.
Oh, it was an error. Okay.
All right. I've got another question, Mr. Singh. There is a question from Nokubonga, who wants to know if you offer vacation work for 4th year students. I presume that you, similar to your recruitment, you usually have a 2-year gap. When should vacation work applications be placed?
We welcome VAC work applications from 2nd year onwards. Like I mentioned earlier, it would depend how long the degree is that you're studying for. So the idea is to apply for vacation well above your articles application to a law firm. Our advice is that try and get as much VAC work done as possible before you are applying for articles. 4th year is typically late. I'm assuming you are studying a 4th year LLB. And the truth is, by that time, as per the Bowmans process, you should be seeking the articles contract aggressively. The reason is with VAC work, it's only offered twice a year. However, recruitment for articles candidates or clerkship happens throughout the year. At Bowmans, we try and interview a lot more frequently than we would be hosting a VAC work program. So I hope that answers your question briefly.
All right, I think that is it for us with Bowmans today. Mr. Singh, Ms. Molefi, and Ms. Ledwaba, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you today. There are a number of questions that have come up, and those contact details will be shared. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll ask to just play out with this video, and we look forward to seeing all of you on the East Coast.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Welcome to the Bowmans Virtual Experience Program. My name is Ezra Davids. I'm Chairman of Corporate M&A at Bowmans. As a leading African law firm, Bowmans is recognized around the world for the level of expertise our lawyers offer. The Bowmans story began in South Africa, and Joburg specifically, and has quickly grown beyond our country's borders, stretching across the rest of the continent. We have offices in 7 African countries: in Kenya, Malawi, Mauritius, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, and Zambia, and alliances with leading firms in Ethiopia and Nigeria. We also have a valuable best friends relationship with one of Mozambique's strongest law firms. We appreciate the value of being part of a global legal community. We regularly work with law firms in numerous other African countries and around the world. We are very proud of our African heritage, which is shared with our associates across our geographic footprint through our one firm approach. After completing the activities on offer, I trust that you will realize your ambition in becoming a corporate lawyer at one of the leading law firms on the African continent.
Thank you very much to Bowmans. It is now my great pleasure to welcome to our Law Professions Day today, McRobert's attorneys, and your hosts will be Ms. Fikile Mavangwa, who is the Human Resources Administrator, and she's responsible for the recruitment of candidate attorneys. Before we welcome her, may I please ask that students post their questions in the Q&A function on Zoom. Those can then be answered either by the panelists themselves or by themselves and their colleagues will type the answers in the Q&A box. So we are trying to answer all the questions that come up throughout. Thank you very much. So without further ado, Ms. Mavangwa, welcome.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, I think that should be visible. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming to join us today. We really appreciate you taking the time. So as I've been introduced, my name is Fikile. I'm from the HR department of McRobert Attorneys. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about our company, who we are, what we're all about, what we're busy with, and especially relating to articles and what that would look like joining us, which we would be very excited. If you could hone on the opportunity to join us, would love to have you. So I'll be chatting a little bit about that today. So please do engage with me. Just as they've mentioned, please do use the Q&A. More than welcome to address any questions you have. I'm joined by my colleague, Kabo Murahomu. She is our marketing coordinator. She'll be just assisting me to make sure that we get to everyone. So please reach out to us. We would love to engage. All right. So just a brief profile of our company to give you a better sense of McRobert Attorneys. We are a national practice. We have offices in Pretoria, Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. All right, so we employ about 50 lawyers in our company and quite a number of candidate attorneys that we take in each year. As far as where we provide legal services or the space that we're functioning, or the spaces that we're functioning in, we have quite a few fingers in different pies, which is quite nice because that informs the expertise that we have in-house. As far as the clientele that we have quite a number of local and international clients that we interface with, and in quite a number of different industries, such as the automotive industry, commercial banks, financial institutions, medical insurance field. We have clients there as well as commercial and as well as just different corporations as well in the commercial field. And so that's just to say that we are able to provide legal services in quite a number of industries. And so as far as our expertise are concerned in the various areas of law that we function in, we have quite a few. And so that also speaks to the number of the departments that we have within our company. So just to name them, we have our corporate and commercial law. We function in environmental and mining law, estate planning, wills and trusts, financial recovery law, intellectual property as well, that deals with trademarks and copyright, labor law, medical professional indemnity law, so that's our medical department, personal injury law, so third-party department, and property law as well. And so we have quite an amazing number of associates and directors that work within these fields and provide these legal services that our candidate attorneys would essentially be working very closely with and getting exposure to these different departments or to these different fields of law. In terms of what we're actually looking for as far as candidate attorneys are concerned, yes, marks are important, okay? So if we're speaking numbers, we're typically looking for candidates who are getting about 60%, all right? We think it's doable. We think it's a manageable figure, but that will just get us interested, okay? But it's not all we're looking for. What we're looking for is for candidates who we believe have what we call the ACE factor, okay? So we call it the ACE factor. Where E means we're looking for individuals who are energetic, all right? So you come into the space and you bring just such an energy. And we're looking for individuals who are intelligent, all right? So that speaks to the academic results. But far and beyond that, we're looking at emotional intelligence, for example, as well. That is very important to us. So all-rounded that in that respect, as far as intelligence is concerned. We're looking for individuals who are self-motivated. Are you the kind of individual that is able to get into a space and drive things forward and not just lag behind, right? We're also looking for individuals who are hardworking, and that is the theme of articles. Incredible hard work. And so we're looking for individuals who would be able to come into the space and really, really, really pull their weight and add value to the environment. And so that's what we call the ACE factor. And so by and large, what we're looking for is to recruit well-rounded candidate attorneys, because one, if we can find a well-rounded candidate attorney, you're not just somebody that will be able to, bring what you've learned from school, as far as, as much as that is valuable and that is very important. We also know there is a very wide gap between your studies and between the practical environment when you step into a legal corporate field or legal corporate environment, such as our company. And so we're looking for somebody that we can really identify and say that, you know what, this is the kind of person that will be able to jump that gap in terms of just what they bring to the table. And so we also want to see that that you're the kind of person that will be suited to an environment such as ours, because we are diverse and we are multicultural. And so it will be very important for us to be able to see that you're somebody that would fit into our environment. What you can expect from articles joining us, quite a few things that I'd like to delve into. But the first thing I'd like to talk about is our company values, okay? So you can expect to have the requirement upon you that you should live out our company values, because essentially that is the very, very core of who we are as McRobert attorneys. As far as what our values are, the acronym thereof is TRIP, right? So can I take you for a trip? And so T looks at teamwork. We want to see somebody that's coming in for articles who is really going to be a team player, who is really going to take their part and make sure that they fill that space and is able to add value to the team. So that includes also being able to communicate effectively within the team and your team members who you'll be interacting with on a daily basis. We're looking for somebody who's able to show respect for other people. And so this is so core for us, because we know that sometimes it becomes difficult for certain people to really apply the same amount, if you will, of respect to a director than you do to a cleaner. And so we are we're the kind of company that really values all people all across, and we have a deep and sincere respect for the role that everybody plays. And so respect speaks to a mutual trust and openness in the relationships that you form, that you are able to show the same amount of respect for a director as you will for a cleaner. All right. And so we're also looking for somebody who has a high level of integrity. So these are people that will come in with high ethical standing, that your no is your no and your yes is your yes. And you're able to exhibit high levels of professionalism in the service that you provide as as a candidate attorney, because we don't look at you as an intern. You're not coming in as an intern. You're really coming in as a legal professional. And so we will uphold you to a high standard of professionalism in the service that you provide, because you are essentially a lawyer in training. You're not an intern, okay? And so lastly, we're looking for individuals who will have just show passion, all right? So we're looking for those people who will really come in and it will be clear that this person loves what it is that they're doing. They love law, they love the legal practice, and they show a high commitment to the work itself, and also just exhibiting a positive attitude towards the work and a positive attitude towards, what they're doing on a day-to-day, and a high work ethic, all right? So being able to really be somebody that, as we've said, is hardworking. All right. So that's essentially what we'll be looking for as far as our values are concerned, and having people in our company that exhibit these values, that would be very important to us and very core. All right. Another thing a candidate attorney joining us can expect is that they'll be working very closely with our legal professionals. And so we have exceptional legal professionals with really, really high levels of expertise in what they do. And the nice thing about joining us is that these professionals are incredibly invested in the development of our candidate attorneys. And so all of them have an open door policy that they will engage with you at the level of just being able to address any questions you have. There is a lot of, jumping into the deep end and learning how to swim, but there's also a lot of hand-holding and a lot of guidance. So it's not, take this, get it done, by all means necessary. But it is also being able to say, you know what, I actually don't really understand how to do this, or I'm not really sure how to approach this. And having the kind of legal professionals surrounding you, associates and directors all around, being able to provide you with that guidance, because they are invested in making sure that you have a successful tenure as far as your articles are concerned. We also really aim to train our candidate attorneys. Okay, so it's very important to us to make sure that we are really developing our candidate attorneys in such a way that by the end of their articles, that they have the knowledge and the skills that are required to be able to fulfill positions in legal corporate environments. And so we really love that our candidate attorneys will come to the end of their 2 years of articles and will honestly be able to say that, you know what, for the foremost, I honestly feel like I'm competent. I feel that I am a competent professional, and I can be able to really hit the ground running, whether you become an admitted attorney or whatever route you ultimately take. And so that's very, very important to us. Another thing you can expect from your articles with us is that you can expect exposure to various areas of expertise. So the departments that I'd listed earlier on, we work on a 6-month rotational basis. And so essentially what that would mean is that by the end of your articles, you would have rotated to 4 different departments, okay? And so for some candidate attorneys that might feel like, there's so many other departments, and perhaps you didn't particularly end up in the department that you would have wanted to, even though we do try very, very hard to make an accommodation. So we do take requests to say that, okay, we are going into our first rotation or our second rotation. What are you interested in? And some of them will say we're interested in property, and we're able to accommodate them in that sense. So we do take your desires into consideration as far as the rotation is concerned. But another thing we do is we have what we call our McPrac sessions. Okay, so those are training sessions that take place between our different directors and our associates with the candidate attorneys on various topics and various discussions, just to be able to give our candidate attorneys that increased level of exposure. So for example, let's say, you have not been exposed to property We will have one of our directors, our associates, coming in from the property department during a backpack session, and they will be able to tell you all about it in terms of what they do, what a lawyer in the property department can be expected or can be expected to achieve, what kind of services they provide, what does the day-to-day look like, and also give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. Perhaps there's a curiosity there, or you absolutely hate it, but you'd still just like to know, what happens there. So it's just for us to be able to give our candidate attorneys that exposure all across the board. And so that's very important to us. And we know that it is incredibly valuable to the candidate attorneys, because you come in sometimes and you have no idea where you're going or what you'd like to specialize in, and you kind of want to get a taste of everything before you make that final decision. And so we want to help facilitate that process for you, that perhaps when you joined in, you absolutely hated property, the subject was terrible at school, but you're rotated to the department and you realize you absolutely love it, and that's what you want to do. So we have that. And so we want to be able to be a part of, helping you make those decisions as well for your future. And lastly, we also really provide an opportunity for candidate attorneys to cultivate good working relationships with colleagues. And so I'd just like to say here that, sometimes it's important to realize that as you come into the environment, it's a very important phase that you go through as you do your articles, because you have the opportunity to form lifelong relationships as you go into that space. And so it's not, okay, 2 years are gone, articles are finished, and good riddance, McRobert, right? It's not even that, but those relationships that you're able to cultivate, you might carry that into the future, and you never know whom you might need to contact in the future. It might be one of our directors who points you in the right direction, and so would like to give you that opportunity to be able to form that network and start forming your network. And lastly, we also provide the required support throughout the duration of articles. And so, like I said, we do give that opportunity to ask questions. Another thing we do, just to go above and beyond to help, just put you in a position where you are comfortable and you feel that you are able to approach anybody, whatever the circumstance might be. We also help sort of facilitate a mentor-mentee kind of relationship between our candidate attorneys and their principals. And so this is where that relationship is really categorized by coaching. And you're able to ask, any questions, whether related to work or just personal questions. Some of them you're sitting with directors, and perhaps you yourself want to become a director one day, and you're sitting with a director and you say, how did you get here? What did you do? What does it take? And you get to, ask for encouragement, any advice if you're not sure of anything, any guidance that they can provide. So you really, really do have that support. And we find that it is valuable in ensuring that our candidate attorneys do well in their articles, because they can be such a challenging time. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of pressure, let alone from just trying to find your feet, having joined the workforce. For most of our candidate attorneys, the first time, it's their first job, and so we really, really want to make sure that you are as comfortable and as supported as possible. And in terms of applying with us, our applications for articles starting in 2023 are open. And so you're more than welcome to apply with us on our website, www.mcrobert.co.za. We have vacancies open in our Cape Town office as well as our Pretoria branch for articles for next year. Okay, applications do close on the 20th of May this year. So please do ensure that you do not miss that deadline. In terms of what we require, please just make sure you attach a detailed CV, would like to see your academic record, would like to see a certified copy of your matric certificate, as well as your ID copy. Okay. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening. So I think I have a little bit of time. I'll be able to answer any questions you might have, but we will also be able to just address any questions in the Q&A as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mavangwa. That was a very warm and engaging presentation. I wish I did my articles with your firm.
Thank you very much.
So before we go to the Q&As, we do have some time. We've had a question from a third-year student from Pietermaritzburg. It's not on the chat function. She emailed it to us in advance.
No problem.
The kind of person who's thinking ahead.
Good.
Noma Sabata Mkize, and she would like to know what are the chances of graduates from UKZN being successful when they apply for articles in other firms, in other branches, for example, your Pretoria and Cape Town branches. How often would you have someone from outside of the province successful in those situations? Thank you.
Okay, that happens all the time. And so for us, we do consider things like, okay, do you perhaps have family in Pretoria? We just want to know if you do have that backup that you will be, supported and you're not just going all alone. However, we do have situations where, we have people applying from Pretoria wanting to move, in Cape Town. And so that's where we would ask questions like, what's your interest in Cape Town? Why would you like to make the move? Just so that we understand and you have a better sense of that. But in terms of, whether we do or we do not, we absolutely do. In fact, one of our candidate attorneys that joined us this year, she did her studies in Johannesburg, I believe at Wits, and she's now in our Cape Town office. So absolutely.
Thank you very much. I'd like to direct us to the Q&A session.
All right.
One of the questions, and this is something that candidates often ask, and that is, can you expect feedback on your application if you're unsuccessful? So there are deadlines to put your application in, and then your team consider those. Do you notify, I don't know how many thousands of applications you get.
Quite a few.
Process go.
Yeah, no, we absolutely do. Shame. It's already such a petrifying thing, the process itself of applying, and oh my gosh, will it go well? Will it not go well? And so we really go out of our way to make sure that everybody gets feedback, and so we'll be able to do so through our portal. And so as they apply online, and we prefer that they do so, though some people do reach out through us via email, and we do direct them to our portal, but on there we'll be able to walk them through. Once they're successful, that will be communicated on there as well, but if they're unsuccessful, we also send a regret email essentially.
Thank you very much for that.
Of course.
Then let's see other questions we've got. If you offer bursaries to first-year students?
All right, unfortunately not. Very sadly, we're not able to do so. So yeah.
Okay. And the others, I think, have all been answered.
Okay, fantastic. No, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And all the best, everyone. We hope to see you on the other side, joining us for articles next year.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mavangwa.
Thank you. You too.
All right, so that was our second firm from McRobert Attorneys. We are very excited now to welcome our third firm. And we've got Ms. Kekeleso Sehlako, and she is from Allen and Overy. She will have with her today two colleagues who are UKZN alumni. They are Mr. Imran Aku and Mr. Salesh Premjeet. Mr. Aku is a candidate attorney in his first year at the firm, and Mr. Premjeet is an associate in the project finance department. He was retained after doing his articles with Allen and Overy. And Mrs. Sehlako, she is the human resources consultant and the graduate recruitment officer. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Holness. I'm going to start sharing my presentation quickly. Salesh, unfortunately, is unable to join us this morning. He was pulled into a client meeting urgently that he needed to attend. So I'll start sharing now. Just give me a few minutes. Are you able to see my screen?
Not quite yet.
Not yet.
We'll give you a few minutes to get it done. It's the worst when you have radio silence. I'll call that while you try and sort out the technological side. I think your screen is about to share. There we go. We can see you now. Thank you, Ms. Hlako.
And it's the full presentation here, not just presentation plus notes.
It's the Alan Overy presentation. If you could just put it on the presentation slide so that it can start showing from the slideshow. Thank you.
Okay. Is it showing now?
Go right ahead. We can see it beautifully.
Okay. Great stuff. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity this morning. As I've mentioned, I'm joined by Imran only this morning. Unfortunately, Salish is unable to join us, but I'm glad we've got a UKZN alumni that's able to just speak to his experience, and he'll do so shortly after my presentation. So just in terms of A&O Johannesburg, so A&O is obviously a global law firm, an international actually law firm with around 5,500 people. We operate as one single global profit pool. We've got over 2,300 lawyers or fee earners globally. Obviously, these numbers fluctuate with people coming and going. We've got over 550 partners globally as well. Specifically in the Johannesburg office, we've got 4 partners. We are in over 40 offices globally, in 30 countries as well. And we are part of the top 100 public companies assisted worldwide. On average, we advise on top 50 clients in 19 countries. As well as we're part of 19% of A&O's work comes from high growth clients. And then 74% of our work involves 2 or more offices. So you'll always be working on multiple jurisdictions and not just work in South Africa. Our lawyers were ranked 1,777 times across the global directors' chambers, as well as our lawyers were ranked in band 1 and in band 2 in 201 categories. So across all legal directories worldwide, the highest of the group of major international law firms. And then just in terms of Johannesburg office, so the Johannesburg office is a key hub for Africa-focused cross-border transactions, deals and disputes. We've got labor English law capabilities, over 5 years on the ground in SA, quite a young office in South Africa. We've got excellent client contacts around. Obviously, we're in over 40 offices worldwide, so we've got quite a good international reach. We've got a good relationship focus. So we work in partnership with our clients and we aim to develop long-term relationships with them. We've got quality people, Imran being one of them, UKZN alumni. So our lawyers are among the region's most experienced and highly regarded, delivering local advice to the highest international standard, as well as strong relationships with law firms across Africa. So in Africa, we've got 1 office in Johannesburg, which is the one in Sandton. The other office is in Morocco. We've got as well comprehensive, innovative advice delivered by a team of commercially minded expert lawyers, as well as in terms of BEE status, we are a level 2 contributor. In terms of what the firm offers and what we advise on, so we advise on a wide variety of legal issues, covering banking and finance, corporate and commercial, litigation and arbitration, project finance, investigations, insolvency and restructuring, regulatory and construction. So these are some of the practice areas that we have in the Johannesburg office specifically. With construction, insolvency and restructuring investigations falling under litigation and arbitration. So what does A&O look for in a candidate? I can't give like a set of competencies that we look for. It's always a variety and a mix of competencies and qualities that we look for in a candidate. This is over and above the academic requirements. So I'll start with the academic requirements. We need an average of 70%, which is quite steep, I know, but we've got people that have been and are able to achieve this academic requirement. We look for someone that is a self-starter as well as takes initiative. It's quite a fast-paced environment, so we need for you to be able to hit the ground running. It's advantageous for you to be able to, run with multiple deals at the same time, show initiative. Imran will be able to speak to some of these as he's living through some of these competencies and some of these scenarios that are needed for the A&O candidate. There is no perfect candidate, however. If you haven't done VAC work with us, or if you haven't done VAC work at all, it's not a disqualifying criteria for your application. So we still consider your application as well. So there are no set standard cast in stone competencies that we need for an A&O candidate. There are a wide variety of these competencies that we look at. And then just in terms of applying to A&O's vacation schemes, so we run 2 schemes each year, in winter and in summer. So currently held virtually. COVID will be determining if we have the next one in person or not. We have them run in normally when it's semester breaks, so you will have time to attend a full week with us virtually or in person. Penultimate year and final year students take preference, unfortunately. You can start applying as early as possible. It's just that penultimate and final year students will take preference. Their applications will take preference. And then applications for 2022 winter scheme close on the 30th of April. So please do get applying for the July slot. And then to apply, you can email your CV, cover letter, academic transcript, and matric results to that email address there. So it's graduaterecruitment.southafrica@allenandovery.com. I'm happy to pop it in the chat box as well if you need it, but only applications for VAC work are accepted for at this email address. If you want to apply for articles, please do so online. The process is quite the same. We need the same set of documents. After you've submitted your online application, you normally get sent a link to complete a situational judgment test. There are no right or wrong answers for the situational judgment test. It literally just takes you through everyday scenarios you would encounter as an associate at A&O. And once you complete the SJT, then this would deem your application as complete and final. So yeah, just to reiterate, if you want to apply for VAC work, please send your application to this email address. If you want to apply for articles, please do check online. We currently have applications open for 2023 and 2024 online. We haven't placed just as yet. So applications for both years close once you've placed candidate attorney. So there's no set closing date. I would advise, however, for early applications. So the earlier you apply, the better. But please apply for articles online and apply for vacation work at graduaterecruitment.southafrica@allenandovery.com. Just to reiterate, documents needed to apply a cover letter. Please send through your detailed CV as well, an ID copy, your matric certificate, and reference letters if they are readily available. We know sometimes that could be quite a mission to get reference letters, but if you have one that's readily available, please send that through. And most importantly, the qualifying criteria being an average of 70%. Do I have any questions before just handing over to Imran to take us through his experience of being a candidate attorney during a pandemic for a global law firm? I can check the Q&A box quickly.
Thank you, Ms. Kilako. Yes, we do have a few questions before you hand over. So one of those I think that Mr. Premjeet might probably answer, and that is on retainment. How often is it that your candidate attorneys are retained as associates in your firm in terms of vacancies?
So it's almost always actually. So the number varies in terms of how many candidate attorneys we take on each year. I'll just give example for the past 2 years. So in 2020, we had 3 candidate attorneys start with us, and then the following year we had 4. And in almost all cases, we have 100% retention rate because of the number of candidate attorneys we take in, and that's also affected by the office. We're quite a small office in Johannesburg, so we can't take a larger number than that. But the number does vary in terms of how many CAs we take in. Could be 7, could be 5, but in almost all cases, we have 100% retention.
Thank you, Mr. Hloko. And I presume that has also a lot to do with the quality of the candidates applying for these positions, because your threshold for application is quite high to have a 70% aggregate, and then, of course, the other requirements.
That is correct. That's correct.
So let me see then also another question. Vacation work. Do you offer vacation work?
Yes, we do offer vacation work. So twice a year, we have it in winter and in summer. For the since the beginning of the pandemic, we've had it virtually, but we'll see where the COVID regulations take us. If it's in person, it's normally in the office for 5 days. How we normally structure it is we have 5 candidates basically join us for the week. If you are in KZN, the company will cover costs for logistics, so accommodation and transportation, and get you here to the Johannesburg office, since you only have one main office in Johannesburg. So we do have, if it's in person this year, we'll definitely have it in the office, and all costs, flights and transportation and accommodation are covered, and the VAT work is paid as well.
That's magnificent. Thank you so much. Can we hand over to your colleague and see what he can share with us in his personal experiences? Thank you so much.
Sure. Right.
Hi, everyone. I hope all the students are experiencing, are having a good educational experience. I'm excited to be here. I was actually in the exact same position as the students here. It was my career day in 2019 when I was in 3rd year, just before COVID, that I first interacted with ANO, and it led to this. So yeah, that was about a month before COVID, the first COVID case started here. And so I had quite a drawn out application process with all the firms that I applied to. And I think later that year, I was in the summer vacation work for ANO. So I had the full suite. But yeah, I loved every moment of it. And I know what it's like to be a student, and I know kind of what questions everyone has on their mind. But I'm just going to tell you what my experience is working in ANO, and what I think makes it special for me. The reason I chose ANO at the end was because of the international aspect, and to that extent, I've not been disappointed at all. In fact, I've been kind of surprised at just how much we work with the other offices or with international clients. It's very integrated, and I think it's rare that a day goes by where either I'm not getting support from a lawyer in one of the other offices, or I'm not dealing with a client that's overseas. I've been here for a very short while because it is my first year, but I've already had to make multiple overseas calls, visit embassies, and it's quite lovely. Yeah, so I also I wanted to be here because I know when I was a student at my career there, it was the questions answered by the candidate attorneys and the associates that kind of reassured me, because I felt like I could ask them and they'd know exactly what it was like. So I wanted to be here if anyone had any questions just about my experience. But yeah, I think one of the questions was about retention. I just wanted to add to that is that one of the great things that I've experienced in my time here is that some of my closest friends at the firm, some of the most helpful people I have are my fellow CAs, and I think that might be because we don't feel like there's a sense of, it's not the Hunger Games. We work with each other and we don't feel like we're competing with each other all the time. It's a healthy competition, and, and no one's trying to take credit for anything, or, we don't feel like there's a sense of, it's not the Hunger Games. We work with each other and we don't feel like we're competing with each other all the time. It's a healthy competition, and, you know, and none, no one's trying to take credit for anything, or, we don't feel like there's a sense of, it's not the Hunger Games. We work with each other and we don't feel like we're competing with each other all the time. It's a healthy competition, and, you know, and it's just not a competition. We're all trying to succeed together, and we feel as though there's enough space for all of us. And I think that's made my time here just wonderful. I've just been making friends, basically.
Thank you so much. I take from that teamwork is quite important, and perhaps that is not something that is sufficiently stressed during undergraduate studies. Opportunities to kind of gain those skills so that it's not necessarily a competitive skill that you are gaining, but rather to do your best in collaboration with others and to bring out the best in each other for the benefit of the firm. And it seems that you have also learned a lot from your peers as well as the people that you work with, with relationships that last a lifetime.
Yeah, the people I work with, there is always a sense of healthy competition. We're all trying to do our best all the time, and we're working with people who are, easily some of the best in the industry. Everyone you speak to in the office, in the department, is an expert or is an up and coming expert. But that's the great thing, is that anytime you need assistance, you're speaking to the person who can write the book on it, and it feels like they all can. So that's the great thing, is that you can have a question answered and you're confident that that's the way to do it, and you're constantly learning best practice. So yeah, so to have that with the element of just how approachable everyone is special. So I couldn't have asked for more than that.
That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to direct us to the Q&A function to see if there are any specific questions that you can answer from your perspective. We appear to have a lot of administrative queries around when things are due, what the requirements are, like reference letters, and those can easily be answered by going onto your website, I presume, and then around vacation work. So did you have the opportunity to do vacation work with the firm?
Yes, so at the end of 2019, I did my vacation work. It was virtual, so that was, that it was 2019, so everything was.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I had a good experience. It helped me understand just how the firm works, and I was quite excited, and I think that kind of spurred me on. That was at the end of my third year, so I knew going to fourth year where I wanted to be, and but I did vacation work. But I think out of the 5 candidate attorneys that the firm hired, it was 2 of us that did the VAC work. So it doesn't eliminate you if you haven't done it. I mean, three of the people that have joined weren't part of any VAC program here, but yeah, and we all have such different experiences. We're at different ages, we're at different points in our career, but it's just such a variety, and that's the great thing. I have not just professional, it's not just professional knowledge I gained from them, it's also just, life knowledge, because they all had different run-ups to their career at A&O. So some of them have already done their boards, have worked elsewhere, have traveled, and my experience is, just out of university, and I started here. So it's not been the same for everyone. We all have such different experiences and education, and so there's really no way to feel, disqualified from being an A&O.
Thank you so much. I think what we take from that is something that students often forget, which is that there isn't one path to realizing your dreams, and that you can take many side roads to get to where you want to be. And all of those experiences, of course, help an individual grow. So taking a gap year, trying a different profession for a while, doing further studies, joining a different firm, and then changing over. All those opportunities are rich experiences, and being fresh from university and joining a law firm isn't always the most direct route. It's wonderful if you can do that, but if you get to do articles with A&O in another way, that also broadens the experience. So I'm glad to hear that.
Our CAs have done masters, have worked elsewhere, and took time to decide or to feel ready to start their articles, and I think that's great, because they all bring something different to the table. And I don't think it's necessarily for everyone to go into it straight after university, because there are some things about their experiences that I envy, and there are some things about mine that they do. But that's why it's so good that we can learn off of each other. And it's a small, intimate group of CAs, and I think I'm from UKZN, I'm from Durban, and I moved to Sandton, and I think from the Sears, I think this year especially, quite a few of us did move from other cities. So we've become kind of a support group for each other, and we gather for socials every now and then, and in the office we reach out to each other if we can help, and there's no sense of like, oh, if you help me, it's like I'm not doing enough, or someone's taking credit for your work. It's not like that at all. So yeah, I'm just grateful for the bunch that I have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oku, and also your colleague, Mr. Hlako. If I can ask if there are any last questions or issues that either of you would like to address before we go on to our last firm, into our next firm.
So if there aren't any questions, I can see in the Q&A, I'll answer the questions to the individuals in there. But just to reiterate, like Imran has said, it's not Hunger Games, and it speaks to the reason why we don't take on so many candidate attorneys. Besides being a small office, we nurture you, hold your hand throughout the 2-year period that you serve in your articles, because we want to retain you at the end. We don't want you to focus on constantly having to think about being better than the next person, and wanting to just focus on competition so much that the only thing on your mind is being retained at the end of the 2-year period. So we literally hold your hand from the time you join us to retention time, and then obviously throughout your career at ANO. I think one other thing that I should mention is ANO does also offer bursaries for law students, whether you're studying BA Law, BCom Law, LLB. We do offer bursaries. Unfortunately for this year, the applications have closed, but we do offer bursaries at the beginning of each year for the law faculty.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hlako. I really appreciate your time with us, and also to Mr. Oku. ANO sounds like a fantastic place to work. And I think the lesson you also take is that vacation work anywhere can only be an advantage for the individual, not just in attaining articles, for example, saying, I've done VAC work at your firm, please hire me, but also perhaps I've done VAC work elsewhere, so I have an idea of what other firms have to offer. And also, as Mr. Oku explained to us, having time to think about what you want and where you want to be and the kind of firm you would like to align yourself and gain experience at. So all those experiences are wonderful learning opportunities. So without further ado, thank you again from all of us at UKZN for your time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
So we just had with us Alan and Overy, and our fourth firm today is the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, called ACFE, and we've got Advocate Minette Niemann with us today. So she is a certified fraud examiner from 2020, and she's their legal officer. She has a BCom in law, and she focuses on professional standards, quality assurance, forensic industry forums, disciplinary and regulatory inquiries, as well as risk and compliance management. Welcome, Advocate Niemann.
Thank you very much. And joining me today is our branding and communications officer, Zanal Jordan. She will be telling you guys a little bit more about the ACFE before she hands over back to me.
Thank you both for the introductions. So like Minette said, I'm Zanal Jordan, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. We're excited to share what we do with you guys. So just to start at the beginning, I'm just going to give a bit of background and then hand over to Minette again. We are the ACFE SA, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and we are based in South Africa. So starting at the beginning, we can just share. Is our share screen sharing? Okay. So we're going to share our screen, and then start at the beginning, which is the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, is an international organization. So the headquarters of the ACFE is based in Texas, and since then more than 190 chapters have been established in the world. So if you look at the ACFE, ACFE SA, ACFE International, all of it, it's a worldwide organization with all of us, all of them, all of the chapters have one goal in mind, and that is to reduce fraud and white-collar crime. We're an anti-corruption, anti-fraud organization, and we are kind of, joining forces around the world with the different chapters. And with more than 190 chapters in the world, all of them relying on a membership basis. So we have over 90,000 members in the world. That means we have more than 90,000 fraud fighters, 90,000 individuals who are dedicated to fighting fraud, to fighting corruption, who want to stand up against fraud, and who actually want to use our resources, our techniques, our training opportunities to assist them in their practice so that they can do whatever they can to end corruption, or at least combat or deter corruption, white-collar fraud, white-collar corruption in their organizations. And the South African chapter, the ACFE SA, which is where we work, was established in 1998. And the reason for that, other than wanting a chapter based in Africa and specifically South Africa, who can aid the ACFE International in combating corruption and all of that, we realized that there was a need in South Africa for specialized and specific standards and guidelines and regulations, because there are many of these things and these resources available internationally. But as you all would very well know, South African legislation works a bit differently than other countries in the world. So here at the ACFE SA, we support the international goal of fighting crime and corruption, but we also assist South African professionals and practitioners to do their job based on South African legislation. So we have resources, we have training material, we have a designation, which Monique will tell you a bit more about later, the Certified Fraud Examiner designation, which is all focused on providing South Africans with techniques and things that they can use in their everyday lives with everyday challenges, just to make their jobs easier. And on the next slide, no, the previous slide. No, going back. This slide, you can see we have a couple of benefits here. If I have time, I will go through them, but you can just read through them quickly if you can, or they're also available on our website if you just want to visit there. Just want to focus on the networking one, because like I mentioned, we have 90,000 members in the world, well, more than 90,000 members in the world. And we can introduce you to that network because we function on a regional, national, and international level. So that is the network that we can offer you if you sign up as a member with our organization. So we have different membership packages, including local and international membership, which I'll get into now. But that is how you can actually engage and interact with professionals, not only in South Africa, but worldwide, which really opens up just so many doors and opportunities. If we look at something like cybercrime today, which is huge in the world, and sometimes one of your contacts in America or Europe or Asia or wherever might have some resources or some information that is not available here at the moment. And you can be kind of ahead of the curve and get access to that information before other people, and then bring it to South Africa, and then in turn help your fellow South African practitioners to then use those skills and techniques in your practice. So we also function on a regional level. Our organization, the ACFE SA, has regional committees. So in every region in South Africa, we have a committee, and that committee assists in hosting training events and other networking opportunities in that specific region. So we are all over South Africa, and at the moment, I'm not sure if I want to say due to or thanks to COVID, all of our events are virtual, which means that anyone from any region can attend any of the events because it's taking place online. So it really just makes it easier for our members to access these training sessions, where you can also earn CPE and CPD points. And then on a national level, again, our online events makes it easy to network nationally on a, for everyone in South Africa. And we also have a annual conference coming up in September, and there we expect close to 1,000 delegates, regional, national, international. It's open for anyone, and it's also virtual. So there is a massive networking opportunity, and these networking opportunities will put you as a student wanting to get into the workplace in a very good position, because you can meet experts, you can meet practitioners, and you can already start building that network and building that relationship, so that when you graduate, you already know people who, if they are not employers themselves, they can put you in contact with someone that they know, because it's such an extensive network and it's so far reaching. So you can really make use of these networks to help you to get a job, to branch out, to just get to know people and experts, and then also get to know opportunities that you might be unaware of at the moment. But Minette will also touch on that a bit more. Then I just quickly want to, well, you can see it on screen as well. Our student packages include local membership, which means you're a member of the ACFE South Africa, and you have access to all of our resources, training, discounted rates, etc. And we also have local and international membership. So you can either sign up for 1,000 Rand a year. It's local and international membership, and you get a fraud examiner manual, which it's really handy. And I don't know if you know, but the UKZN actually uses this training material in some of their curriculums. So you can access that downloadable or digital fraud examiner manual in that package. And then we have the 1,600 package, which is local membership and international membership and a digital fraud examiner's manual, as well as a printed one. So it's a student special just for students. It's really worthwhile to look into that. When we're done here, I'll post the links in the chat tab if you want to get some more information about the manuals, and if you want to sign up for student membership. And then last thing from my side, there's also a student chapter option. So the ACFE International has a couple of student chapters, and these chapters function the same as we do. So we are the ACFE South Africa chapter. You can be a student chapter and function on campus and do events and create your own awareness campaigns and get students, your fellow students, to get excited and passionate about anti-fraud practices. We can put you in contact with expert speakers. You'll have to host training events, which is a great practice for you for when you have to enter the workplace. So if you are interested in joining a student chapter or starting a student chapter, which will be the first one in South Africa, mind you, you can just send me an email. I'll post my email address in the chat tab as well. But the student chapter is an excellent bridge for students between the academia and practice. So you have your academia, you have that down. Hopefully at this point, you know how to do that. Starting a student chapter will give you experience. You can gain knowledge. You can network extensively. You will get to meet the speakers, the expert speakers who need to present at your events, and just many other delegates and practitioners. So if you're interested in the student chapter, just send an email. If you want to know more about anything, you can send me an email, which I will drop in the chat tab. And then I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Minette, or Advocate Minette Niemann, and she will tell you a bit more about our Certified Fraud Examiner course and some other opportunities.
Thank you, Zanel, and thank you all for joining us today. It's really so exciting for me. It feels like yesterday when I was still a law student, very excited about the future, didn't know if I wanted to become an attorney or advocate. Well, I chose the advocate route, but something I dreamt about my entire life, or from 2009, was to become a certified fraud examiner. And I must say the biggest achievement to date for me was not only to be admitted as an advocate, but also to be certified as a certified fraud examiner. So I just want to tell you guys a little bit more about the designation and qualification. It's something that I'm very passionate about, just because I know how important it is for attorneys and advocates to also have this additional qualification. So I want to encourage all of you to consider to join this elite group of international anti-fraud professionals by earning your CFE credential. So you will be required to pass the CFE exam. It is quite difficult. You have to pass all 4 modules with 75%. So it is quite difficult, but I must say it's really, really worthwhile, especially the networking opportunities that Zanel has mentioned, not only to mention how much it has assisted me with my job to date. So the 4 modules are financial transactions and fraud schemes, law. This is international law that the module is about. In South Africa, we more have a hybrid legal system where with the law manual, you'll be learning about all legislation across the world, then investigation, fraud prevention, and deterrence. Then the CFE credential is increasingly being designated as the preferred credential in the hiring practices of business, government entities, and law enforcement agencies. We've seen it a lot that government entities have been making it requirement in their tenders that the personnel have to be certified fraud examiners, and also CFEs earn up to 34% more than their non-certified colleagues. And then why do we want to encourage you to become a CFE? So it will advance your career, enhance your marketability and job security. You will gain professional visibility and credibility. It will distinguish you from your peers and impact your company's bottom line. So this designation has really become in demand and one of the most marketable credentials today. And it has emerged as the gold standard. And I must say, it's very nice to call myself a certified fraud examiner. Then I also, just before I go over to our industry standards, I just also wanted to tell you about Jeffrey Brent. He's working in America. He is a forensic divorce attorney. He has also been qualified as a financial expert to value businesses and complex forensic financial investigations. He testifies as an expert. His designation lends credibility to his knowledge and standing in court. And with that as well, our CEO at our organization, he initially also studied law, and today he's the head of the ACFE SA chapter, and he led the way for so many African chapters. So that's so exciting, and there's so many different routes to go on, not just attorney or advocate, but with this background, you can have so much more at your reach. So I just wanted to tell you guys also about our forensic industry standards. So many of the professionals have come together and written standards, and out of these standards, there have been career opportunities created. And with these career opportunities, just the next slide, I just wanted to show you the additional career opportunities for attorneys and advocates. If you have the CFE designation, you can become digital forensic practitioners, health fraud examiners, forensic document examiners, polygraph examiners, and still, like Jeffrey Brent, be a forensic divorce attorney, a financial expert to value businesses, and still be an expert testifying in court. So there's so many different options. If you have the CFE designation, you will automatically be seen as an expert in financial transactions, in law, international law. So yes, that's all from my side, everything in a nutshell, but I really just wanted to tell you guys today that there's so many different routes to reach your goal and your dreams. And there's not only one way for us studying law just to become an attorney or advocate. And there is so many different things. And yes, I must say, I'm really glad about the choice I made. So yes, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Even if we don't get to answer all your questions, please reach out to us and start with the student chapter. I wish I had that opportunity when I was younger. It would have looked so great on my CV. But yes, so we really encourage you to join us. We look forward to meeting all of you, and I look forward to seeing so many attorney advocate CFEs in the future. Thank you.
Advocates Niemand and Ms. Jordan, thank you very much for your time. I see that you have posted on the chat box the member application, the link there that you can access, please, students. The fraud manual product is also available. You can click on that link. And the student chapter opportunity, as Ms. Jordan says, offers this wonderful bridge between your studies, your academic life, and your professional life going forward. So this particular qualification that you can look into clearly provides these other opportunities as well, which are very exciting. And I think students are not often aware of these opportunities that these kind of qualifications bring. We often just focus on the law without all the other interdisciplinary aspects that make us an asset in the workplace. I'd just like to also tell you about the postgraduate certificate in forensic investigation that we offer at UKZN. And that certificate is available to a whole range of persons, not just from a legal background. So if that also piques your interest, then this qualification as a fraud examiner is going to be the logical next step. So we are very grateful for your time with us. I see your email address is also in the chat box, and I'm quickly going to take us to the Q&A session to see if there are graduate opportunities available at your organization.
No, we don't have any of those at the moment. We're a very small team functioning here at the ACFE SA, but again, we rely on our network, so we can put you into contact with people who might have opportunities for graduates. We actually had a learnership program this year, but we received funding for learnership programs. So hopefully we will keep applying for those opportunities, and whenever we have learnerships or internships or anything available, we will let you know, definitely. But at this point, unfortunately, there's no opportunities available. But again, we do have a network of people who will definitely have opportunities available. So we can see if we can make a plan to put your students into contact with them.
Thank you so much. I think time is something that is quite precious, and as a result, we want to make sure that students use the opportunities while they're studying. And COVID, of course, has brought a lot of challenges. Many of our students have not been able to secure vacation work to get experience. And the virtual vacation work that's available is not quite the same thing as in person. So your student chapters, I believe, would offer a very nice opportunity for students to kind of use that bridge opportunity.
Definitely. I was just about to say the same thing. If they can have a student chapter, you're going to meet so many people through that chapter. So it's a great opportunity.
Thank you so much. So
thank you.
Have a lovely afternoon. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. And we had with us Advocate Niman and Ms. Jordan. And we're going next to Mooney Ford Attorneys. Thanks. And we will be joined by Ms. Sharon King and by Ms. Michelle Naidu. Thank you very much for spending your time with us, and welcome.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Sharon. I've recently been promoted to Business Development Manager at Mooney Ford Attorneys. Mooney Ford Attorneys was established 120 years ago, and while we respect and honor the tradition of law, we like to think of ourselves as a very young and vibrant law firm. The partnership has got 6 partners, 3 of whom have done the articles at the firm. We believe in constantly upskilling our staff, training them with different programs and providing them with support for empowerment. One of our partners has actually been started as a legal secretary at our firm, and that will be Rita. She will address us later. We specialize in different aspects of law. Some of them are commercial dispute law, labor law, property law. You can get all that information on our website, and we're going to share all that information with you later as well. We like to think ourselves as innovators. So I don't know if you remember a while back, there was a law that was changed that you can actually serve people on Facebook. That was one of our partners that instigated that law. One of our other partners, Ashton Naidu, has been on East Coast Radio since the beginning of lockdown. He's been given advice to the restaurant industry and also advice on COVID regulations constantly. our corporate responsibility is very important for us, and we focus on education. We really believe strongly that education, providing good education, is important in SA for development and growth. And we particularly like to support rural areas because we believe that they need them the most. VEC work for 2023 will reopen on the 15th of March and close on the 15th of April. And candidate attorneys will open on the 15th of March and close on the 15th of May. We will share just now the slideshow with all the email addresses for that. Please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We constantly post updates on the industry and other information. Let's just, if we can just have the questions in the chat box. And before I hand you over to Michelle and Rita, they will be able to answer those questions after that, or I'll just go through while they're talking, I'll go through the Q&A and try and answer the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sharon. We appreciate your time with us, and your firm certainly has been in the headlines, and we follow you. One of the questions that often come up from prospective candidates is what the threshold is for academic success when they apply for articles. So, some firms have a 60% or a 70% or 80%. What are the kind of criteria that you look for in your candidates?
So can we get that question at the end of the ladies will address that at the end of the presentation.
Thank you very much. If you would like to hand over, have we got with us today Michelle Naidu and Ms. Rita Pariachi?
Yes. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for giving us this opportunity for addressing our students. I'd just like to share a bit of insight of how I became to be a lawyer and a partner at Mooney Ford. So I'm sharing my story. Growing up, we all get this question, what would you like to be when you grow up? And when I got that question, my first thought was to be a lawyer. However, there was an inner voice that said to me, no, you're not going to be a lawyer. You're definitely not going to make it. So with that, I pushed that thought right at the back of my head and continued, completed my matric. And being one of 5 children, my parents were often under financial constraints, with my older sister already being in university. I was certainly not going to burden my parents with additional university fees. So my first and only option was to find a job. And amazingly, I ended up with a position at a law firm in Pinetown, earning a salary of 200 rands a month. Yes, 200 rands a month. At that point, it wasn't about the salary, it was more about gaining the experience. And I believe that it's where I wanted to be. So working for the firm, 2 years later, I got another job at another firm. And it's at this firm, Sing Attorneys, that I gained most of my experience, where I was given the opportunity of working independently and learning. So much so that in those years, I eventually got married, had a kid. And at that point, I realized, I can do more. I don't just want to be a legal secretary. I want more. And that's when I decided that I needed to study, and that was the only way I was going to make a better life for me and my family. So I knew studying full-time was no option. I had a job. I had to keep my job. So I enrolled at UNISA, and those years, it was year courses. So I started off with registering for Introduction to Theory Law and accounting. Accounting, I studied, remember, 8 to 4:30 job, go home, see to my family, see to my baby. And thereafter, normally used to be after 10 that I would sit down and start working on assignments and getting work done. The year passed, I wrote my exams, and this is the point where I was so ecstatic and so proud of myself when I obtained 2 distinctions for those 2 subjects. And that's exactly what motivated me to pursue my legal career. And well, this is where I am today. So from there, I completed my degree. I moved to firms. And in 1999, I ended up at Mooney Ford. There was a position for a legal secretary, and I applied. I got the job and loved it. I loved the offices. I loved the culture that Mooney Ford offered. And I grew. I learned a lot from the partners. And when I graduated, I approached partners and asked for articles. And without hesitation, I was accepted. And that's where I started. My journey began. And in 2008, I was appointed the first female partner at Mooney Ford. And I've not looked back. Today, I head up the estates planning division, as well as the family law and insurance law. And yes, what can I say? Mooney Ford is excellent. We're a little boutique firm, but we're growing. And my partner, Michelle, will shed more light on our culture and our recruitment process. However, I would just like to give a message to our students is that believe in yourself, work hard, make sacrifices, but most of all, have the love and passion at what you do, and you will definitely succeed. Thank you. I'm going to now hand over to Michelle, and we'll probably answer questions once Michelle's done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita. Very inspirational story. You inspire me every day. And I couldn't be prouder to have a partner like you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Good day, everyone. Good day, students. This is a very exciting day for me, particularly. I'm here in Johannesburg for the week, doing some business, but also helping my daughter register and sort herself out for university. So it's quite a nice feeling when you see children doing well in matric and able to get this opportunity to study straight after matric, unlike the difficulties you will hear like Rita had. And we both decided we're going to tell you a little bit about our stories, our personal stories as to how we got to where we are. Because a lot of what you need to know about Mooney Ford is available on our website. And if you follow us on LinkedIn and other social media, you would have some idea about, what the firm is. Our purpose is to really just try to motivate and inspire you, and also to inspire you to apply and to try to apply for back work and articles with our firm. So at the outset, let me say that I'm also a UKZN graduate, and that is BA 1993, LLB 1995. If some of you need a calculator to work out how long ago that was, you're forgiven. But that's 27 years ago is when I completed my studies. Now, securing articles in 1995 was really, really tough. We were in a time of transition. Doors were not open for Black graduates, particularly Black female graduates. And I can tell you, I must have received a stack of rejection letters when I was applying for article back in those days, despite the fact that I did very well in my LLB. Actually, I think my father still has the file of rejection letters, and he often, for nostalgic reasons, will show it to me, just for us to appreciate where we are and what it took to get to where we are now. So articles was difficult to secure at that time. However, in 1996, a door opened for me when I was offered a position to be a clerk for judges of the Labour Court. And this was when the Labour Court was first established in 1996. So I was one of the first team of clerks that was employed. And I worked directly with judges of the Labour Court, different judges. I had stints working for Zondo, Mlambo, and the judge I worked most with was the first female judge of the Labour Court, Judge Revelas. And that was an incredible experience. I spent 4 years there, and I gained invaluable experience. Like Rita said, at that point, and especially when you're starting your career, don't focus on the money and the paycheck and what you're going to get. Focus on the experience you're going to get out of it. Like Rita said, I think it was 200 Rand that she earned. When I worked at the Labour Court, I had to relocate to Joburg, and my income was 5,000 Rand a month for 4 years. And I literally had to scrape it every month to pay bills. But, and at the same time, my colleagues and my friends went on to take on legal counsel positions, etc. We're driving cars in the first year of working, and there was Michelle taking the bus still in the cold in Joburg. But I knew I was doing it for a purpose. And that purpose came in 2000 when I was offered articles at Mooney Ford attorneys. I served part of my articles in Mooney Ford, and then completed the rest of my articles and continued working as an associate and then a director at Norton Rose Fulbright. For some time, I was a partner for 10 years at Norton Rose Fulbright. Like you will see on my profile, if you read it on the website, I certainly came full circle, because in November 2000, I rejoined Mooney Ford as a partner, and that's what my role is currently. It feels like I came back home. It feels like family, and it's just a wonderful, diverse working environment to be in. So we wanted to share that story. That is my story as to how I got to where I am. And we're hoping that you'll be able to share stories like this in 20 years' time with other students and mentor students. It's very important to mentor and be there for young people, you know, even no matter where you go in your career. So from an advice point of view, please just be patient, work hard. Those opportunities will come. And I can't stress this more. Put in the hours now, and you will forever reap the benefits of that. Like Rita and I, you know, reaching partnership level, it is the highest accolade a lawyer can ask for in any law firm, but it did not come easy. Both of us had a long journey and a long road and lots of hard work. So just a minute on Mooney Ford. Mooney Ford, a lot of people don't know this, and I think this is our trump card. Mooney Ford is 50% Black owned, and 50% of the partners are female. And what's extraordinary is the majority of our support staff, which exceed 60, are also female. The age groups vary. We have across the board in age group. And I think that's really what sets us apart from the rest. We have this diverse representation. And because of our different cultures and our different age groups, we're able to really create a dynamic, energetic environment. We have fun at work, believe it or not. We really have fun at work. So we hope that you would like to experience some of that fun, diversity, family-orientated firm, work-life balance. I think we have that. So please come along, apply. Sharon has posted our email addresses for applications for VAC work as well as for articles for 2023. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So we have had with us Michelle Naidu, as well as Rita Padiachi from Mooney Ford and Sharon King. I am very inspired by your stories. I connected instantly with the story of Rita. At some point in my career, I was a legal secretary too, and I never thought I would be able to study law. Eventually I got there. Eventually I served articles, and I'm an academic. So the dreams that we dream can only push us forward. And then your story sharing with us today, Michelle, as well, how you've come full circle, how the friendships and the personal connections you've made throughout your career has always stood you in good ground. And then the motivation to offer mentoring opportunities for people throughout our careers, I think is a very valuable point to make, because there's a perception that the legal profession is extremely cutthroat. One of our earlier presenters said it's not Hunger Games, and it doesn't have to be. We can find family-oriented, work-life balance firms such as yourselves, and for your inspiring stories today, we are very grateful. So you'll see in the chat box that the information is posted there. Sharon indicated where candidate attorney applications can be emailed to, as well as VAC work. Let's take us then to the Q&A sessions and see the questions that we've got here. I think most of these are administrative. We've had one particular comment in the chat box. If I move over to that, thank you for sharing your stories from Selena Siunath. It's so inspiring to hear about the success of not just women, but women of color in this field. All right, I think Sharon has answered some of the other questions, and then let's see some of the others. Please reshare the email addresses for VAC work. Please, Sharon, if you can do that again in the chat function, we'd appreciate that.
Dr. Holness, I think
yes.
Hazel Musa got the slide with all our details. If Musa can share that, but I will share it as well in the chat box. It will be also available on our website and on our social media, but I'll share it again. We did have a slideshow for that.
In the meantime, may I address the one question that was raised in relation to whether there's a minimum sort of a bar for academic qualifications? You know, that's a very interesting one, because although I did quite well, I think I did all right in an LLB. To me, I like to look at an individual holistically. So it's not just about the academic elements. So the answer is no, we don't have a minimum bar. Though, you know, we want to see that the qualifying students was consistent, basically, throughout in terms of their performance. But what catches my eye, to be quite honest, I want to see an interesting student, someone who's going to be doing, who's done something extra, possibly traveled, excelled in sports. Those type of elements, in my view, makes the candidate just that it tips the favor in balance of a candidate. I also think for me, it's the personality of the individual, and if we can connect with that individual, you know, you halfway to success. So don't worry too much about academic qualifications. We have hired cum laude students, but we've also hired students who would have had average results, but are certainly not average in personality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that takes us through the questions that we've had for Mooney Ford, and we are extremely grateful for your time with us, Ms. Padiachi, Ms. Naidu, and Ms. King as well. On the slide, you can see that the application details for Mooney Ford are being shared. And ladies and gentlemen, we also just remind you that a recording of today's session will be made available on the Facebook page of the College of Law and Management Studies, and you should be able to access the Zoom recording if there's anything that you were not able to note from the presentations. So we have had with us today 5 firms. We have spoken to Bowmans, McRobert Attorneys, Allen and Overy, to the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, to Mooney Ford Attorneys, and they have provided us with wonderful, rich information around the experience of VAC work and the application processes for candidate attorneys. But we've heard also from candidate attorneys themselves, we've heard from partners, we've heard from human resources, administrators, managers. We've heard about a qualification that many of you may not be aware of, and that's the fraud examiner's qualification. We are now at a position, I'm hoping, that for our second session in the afternoon, we will already start to have an idea of the kind of offerings that are out there in the market. We've got an open mic session coming up next, so we're asking our panelists to remain behind if they're able, so that we can ask students if they've got a live question that they would like to raise. They can raise their hands, and we're asking you, please, try to avoid questions about when deadlines are because and contact details, because all of that information you can access online on the websites of the firms, or you can contact the contact persons themselves. So any questions about experience, for example, and those kind of pertinent questions are very welcome. And what will happen is you'll raise your hand, and then we will have Ms. Hazel Langer will then allow you to unmute yourself, and then you can ask your question. Please, if it's a general question, we will see if we can answer that. But otherwise, if it's a particular person or firm you are directing it, please indicate that so we can progress in that fashion. Thank you very much.
May I please just add, Dr. Holness, our colleagues from Mooney Ford Attorneys have a book voucher to give away. So the first person to ask a question will get that book voucher. So it's up to you, students.
All right, so first on the button, raise your hands, and Hazel will take your question.
We have Shaya Naidu.
Shaya Naidu. All right, unmute yourself and share with us your burning question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, go ahead.
Thank you so much. So my question was actually in terms of how would the firm say that they rank students in terms, okay, if I can phrase it better, one of the presenters from Mooney Ford stated that their travel or sporting would stand out. So my question would be, how would you address the socio-economic inequalities in terms of the opportunities available to students from UCT, for example, where they have a mooting society or where the students have opportunities to represent the university internationally, basically more opportunities that UCT students, for example, would have in terms of extracurricular activities compared to UKZN or VC or other campuses, because you are saying that that is a very predominant factor in determining whether a candidate is chosen.
No, I think you may have misunderstood a little bit. What I was trying to say or convey, possibly it may not have come across clearly. The question was on what was the minimum sort of academic level. Many of the firms pitched it at 60% or 70%. And what I said is that it's not all our focus to look at the candidates' results at the end of the day. We don't have a minimum bar that we've set. Obviously, the person, as I said, should be consistent, show a consistent performance, and do well at university, but not necessarily we're looking for an average of 60 or 70%. What I expressed about the traveling or sports is, it doesn't have to be, there's no set criteria about if you've taken part or you're in a national team or you traveled internationally. I myself have never been. So it's just what I'm trying to say is that it brings out the personality of the individual. That's the focus point, the connection with the individual. I find that candidates are more interesting if they reflect extracurricular activities. It doesn't have to be sport or international travel. It could even be involvement in social or community organizations. I myself am involved in pro bono, the pro bono legal clinic at Saslo that stands out. So anything that is going over and beyond the normal, I'm saying, of going to university and simply getting your piece of paper. I like to look at how much more have you done? Have you been a member of a community organization, a policing forum? So there's various ways in which a candidate can enhance their profile in their CV to make themselves more attractive to an employer. And those are some of the things which stand out. So I merely mentioned 2 examples. Like I said, I, for one, have never traveled internationally, but I'm interested in my CV in other respects because my CV reflects the hundreds of hours I've spent dedicated to free and pro bono clinics, etc. So I hope that clarifies. What I'm saying is that it is something that pushes me towards a candidate, that tips the balance to see what extracurricular you're doing. And I do understand the social injustices that we have in society, and that obviously I'm from the same cloth. I come from that same cloth. So I fully understand that. But try to get involved with clubs, university clubs, things that are free, that's on campus, the legal aid clinic. These are things that make a student stand out. So we're looking for a holistic, well-rounded, interesting, and energetic individual. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle and Tashaya Naidu. You will be getting your e-voucher. Congratulations for putting up your hand, and Ms. King has your details to contact you for that. So thank you very much to Mooney Ford for offering that prize as well. It makes it very exciting. Law students, like any other students, are always very happy to be able to participate in competitions and get a freebie now and then. All right, so this is a very interesting question, and this often comes up. Someone wants to know whether academic law courses count. And I think what they mean to say is, how helpful is it really when you're applying if you've successfully completed programs such as the Forage, LinkedIn, or Coursera modules that they offer online, aside from your LLB and other interests. If you've completed these, does that give you an advantage? Thank you. So I'm not sure if that was addressed to anyone in particular. I believe any of our panelists should be able to answer that question. So perhaps the HR administrators and managers might be in a better position. So I'll just rephrase the question. There are particular courses, professional and academic courses that are offered online by organizations such as LinkedIn, Coursera or Forage. And if students were to complete these little certificate courses, would they be at an advantage when they apply for VAC work or articles, for example? Does anyone have an answer in that regard?
You are muted, Dr. Holness.
Yes, Hazel, if you can go ahead. Are there any raised hands on this particular issue or other raised hands from students that we can direct questions?
No, we don't have. I just wanted to add to what Michelle said earlier, just to remind our students really about the importance of participating in student clubs and societies, so that they then become these well-rounded individuals who are then highly sought after by law firms. For example, in our School of Law, we have the Students for Law and Social Justice, the SLSJ, as one of those clubs. And I believe that they even have a journal that was launched around 2010, 2011. So they're doing very well. So again, in this group, you are exposed to writing because they have a journal also. Then we also have the Black Lawyers Association student chapter here at UKZN. That's another club to consider. We also have Enectus. Enectus is an international one that covers all disciplines. So law students, I don't usually see them here, but usually commerce, management studies students are really active. There's so much more that law students can also contribute toward Enectus. So please, to make your CVs look good, go to our college page and you'll find details about the clubs and societies that are available to law students. Thanks, Dr. Holness.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hazel Langer. I think the feedback that we've received from our panelists today, from the 5 firms that we've had here, is often that it's not just your academic excellence that is important, but what is also important is your holistic offering. Who are you as a person? What else do you bring to the table? Because the personal connection that you forge at these firms, the networking opportunities that you'll be provided with, whether it's doing VAC work or articles, or eventually as an associate at these firms, those are all very much dependent also on you practicing various skills that you are gaining, not just during your studies, but also outside of your studies with curricular activities, with your involvement in, for example, faith-based groups, with your involvement in charitable work, humanitarian outreach, and then, of course, particularly to our legal profession. Are you participating in pro bono activities, volunteering, for example, at law clinics and so on? Those are also vital. And then there are always new opportunities that arise, such as the Fraud Examiners Association offering student chapters to be started, and you could be part of one of the first student chapters in South Africa. So I think that we need to be mindful that socioeconomic status can be a barrier, but that we also need to utilize opportunities, some of which are free and some of which come at a time cost, of course. And then moving now through the post-pandemic world of COVID, that we start identifying remote opportunities as well, that virtual opportunities like the virtual VAC work opportunities that we wouldn't have had before. And I believe many more candidates are able to participate in those than the in-house opportunities that were offered pre-COVID. So I think, yeah, these kind of disruptors, we need to also see the opportunities that they allow. So that's us for today. We have another session this afternoon that will be facilitated by Dr. Bridget Clark, and she has a range of other firms as well, different from our offering this morning. On the second day of our Law Professions Day, she also has Legal Aid South Africa, which is different from the regular law firms. So that will be interesting to hear from them as well. So I wish the panelists well in their professions, and thank you for taking time to speak to us today, particularly in sharing your perspectives. And without further ado, I'll hand over to Ms. Langa and the team that will go on to the second session. Thank you for your time, much appreciated. And students, please, you can direct questions to the various email addresses that have been shared, and also to the firms. You can contact them on their web pages. Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you so much, Dr. Holness, for running the session this morning. And thank you so much to all the firms that participated earlier. We now move on to the afternoon session with Dr. Bridget Clark. Bridget Clark, over to you. You are muted, Doc.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Bridget Clark, and I'd love to welcome you to this session and to welcome our participants and the students who are listening out there and our law firms. So a very warm welcome without further ado to Leslie Smith and Company, our first law firm, represented by Mr. Jared Jackpath. So welcome to you. Our second law firm will be Stowell and Company, represented by Latchet Maestri. And the third would be represented by, I think it's Nicoline Naidu, and another person, Mr. Kanya, is also there from Livingston Leandy. Worksmans attorneys who are offering some lovely prizes. I think it's 10 200 Rand vouchers and 1,000 Rand take-a-lot prize. So very generous, and thank you very much. And then last but not least, Ms. Siam van der Ross is representing Legal Aid. So welcome to all those 5 people. We are running a little late, but you do have 20 minutes, each of you, to talk about maybe your own personal journeys, what your firm are looking for. I know several of you, I will be introducing you very briefly, are actually alumni of our university, and we're immensely proud of that. So I'm just going to start with Mr. Jared Jackpath. I'm just look at your background. You are representing Leslie Smith and Company, and you were employed as a legal practitioner. Well, you are employed as a junior associate of the firm, specializing in civil litigation, corporate, commercial, medical malpractice. I'm sure that will be interesting to a lot of our students, labor law and general litigation. So a very wide range of work that you are involved in. And we're very proud to announce that he is a graduate. Mr. Jackpath is a graduate of the UKZN Pietermaritzburg campus. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Mr. Jared Jackpath.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. I think before I can continue, I just want to ensure that I am audible to all of you guys. I take it that you guys can.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Clark. All right. Yes. Well, my name is Jared Jackpath. I am a legal practitioner at J. Leslie Smith. I've actually started my articles at J. Leslie Smith in 2019, and I am a graduate of UKZN, Pietermaritzburg campus. Yeah, look, it's been one of the most beautiful journeys of my life, and I say that in all honesty, doing articles at this firm. And I was one of very few people in the past 3 years that was retained by this firm to continue my more professional career, being that of a legal practitioner. And Dr. Clark did point out the areas of law that I do practice. So I'd like to thank all of the attendees. It's about 102 of you that are here today. And I hope that my presentation that my team have put together sheds a little bit of insight as to the logistics of our company and what it is that we do. And my stance in this presentation actually is just to have you guys look at the presentation, and I would like to be more interactive with you all. So the presentation is not very long. I just didn't want to sit here and regurgitate what the presentation is. So without much ado, I'd like to commence with the presentation. And at the end, I would like for as many of you to pose questions, and I'll try my very best to answer it as best as I can. And in the event that I do run out of time, I will share my email address, so you guys can feel most welcome to pose questions, and I will respond. Thank you.
Sorry, Jared.
Yes.
We are not getting the sound. Could you please share your sound?
I am sharing the sound, but in any event, it's the sound is just simply background music, so we're not losing out on any vocals to this. Yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you, Jared. Is that the end of your
Yes, that is.
Thank you very much. And I assume it was just meant to be a silent one that everybody had a chance to read. Is that right?
There was actually some sound to it, but it wasn't, talking or anything of that noise.
No, I see that. Fine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jared. Now, I wonder if there are any questions. We've got time for questions. So are there any questions?
Yes, Dr. Clark, we have a hand from Spindile Mdlalose. Spindile, I'll unmute, I'll allow you to talk. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Hazel.
Sorry, I accidentally pressed on the hand icon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not a problem, Spindile. But we would like to encourage students to put up their hands also and just ask questions so that we can hear your voice, you know. These platforms are interesting and they are versatile and they allow us to engage. So we would love to hear your voice. So please put up your hand so that we can ask questions.
I do see that there are a few questions that have come to me personally, and they are all anonymous. So I'm going to try to somewhat go from the first one. The question is, does your firm allow for 1 year of articles if one does the practical legal training? I'm not sure if that was targeted to me or to a colleague earlier. But yes, we do allow for that. In fact, for in accordance with the Legal Practice Act, you've got to do 2 years of articles, and of course there are some candidates who do slightly longer, in terms of articles. But if you have completed your PVT, which is practical vocational training, that does somewhat cut the 2 year process into one. The next question is, does my firm offer vacation work? And if so, what is the application process? We, in fact, encourage candidates to start off via vacation work. And the basis for that is, it's my subjective submission that, look, university prepares you as best as it can for practice, but in the dynamics of an actual working sphere, it is somewhat a bit different in the sense that I have personally seen students that come in and pass with cum laude and summa cum laude. Sorry, my bad. We've had a lot of students that have come in with high academic accolades, and they somewhat battle in practice. So we do ask for a lot of the future candidate legal practitioners to do VAC work, and the basis for that is because we offer a 2-week VAC work process where you are put into different departments. You average about 2 or 3 days in each department so that you can understand how it is in the actual working sphere. And from there, 9 out of 10, you have on your last day that if you impress the directors, if you impress the parties that you work under, they would offer you a contract. In fact, my journey started in that way. I've applied for VAC work, and I obviously impressed my directors, and I was offered a position as a candidate legal practitioner. The application process would follow the same suit as that of applying for a position of being a candidate legal practitioner. And the only difference is that in the subject of your email, you would just state that it's an application for vacation work and for potential chances of an application for a candidate legal practitioner. For first-year students, unfortunately, we do not offer VAC work. We usually start offering VAC work to second, third, and fourth-year students. But yes, we do encourage that. In fact, we are starting a process where in the beginning of this year, we have had a few first-year students that have come in. But at the same time, I'm sure all of you are akin to Poppy. So it is, it's not the most easiest just to have students coming into the office. Of course, once you become an employee, that somewhat changes the dynamics because you're humbled by your contract of employment. I see most of the questions are based on VAC work, and the more recent question about LLM students, most definitely, whether you're an LLB, LLM, the vacation program still exists for all of you guys. and I'm sure it probably goes without saying, but it is an unpaid exercise. But it's for your benefit, because you somewhat come in as a sponge, if I may, and you're going to absorb a lot of knowledge and understand the dynamics of a working sphere. There's another good question, is that what is the academic average for applying at J. Leslie? So in law, you know, one of the things that you would have learned in university is that every matter is decided on its own merits. The same would apply where you have an application in the form of a CV. It's all decided on its own merits. Look, with us, we do look for more of a well-rounded applicant. And by that, I mean, you know, we don't press on academic excellence. You know, for us, we set a minimum requirement of 55 being your percentage. And we do look at a clean academic record, of course, you know, no disciplinary hearings. And most importantly is, you know, that you guys have not been failing subjects and that kind of thing. So in terms of a minimum requirement, there is no actual minimum requirement in terms of academic average. It's, you know, we look at it on a holistic view. We enjoy, you know, students or applicants rather that have a well-rounded lifestyle, you know. So even if it is, because it can't always be all work, you know, and that in itself speaks volumes, because we are very much family orientated. We almost every single week we gather around our bar area, and you know, we sit and we have a chat, and we, you know, catch up with our directors in the company. And yeah, you know, personally with my team, every once a month I take them out, and you know, you got to give credit where it's due, because it's a team effort, and there is, you know, hundreds of applicants. And what we have to understand is that you don't want to be a face in the crowd. You know, you don't want to be somebody that is doing it because you don't have a passion for it. It has to be your passion. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you see it as a job, you're going to be miserable. It is a very fast, demanding, high pace in litigation, that is. But, you know, there's different spheres of law, you know, and every legal practitioner commands respect, because it is the journey that we would all take to get here. It's just that, if I'm being completely honest, one of the bigger tools that we kind of do look at is, you know, a person that holds himself in good confidence. You know, you have to have a lot of self-confidence, especially in litigation, because you appear before, you know, judges, magistrates, arbitrators. You know, you've got to do that. And when you know, leaving your firm, you're not only representing your client, but you're also holding your firm. And the biggest thing in this, if I may call it, lifestyle, is your name and your reputation is absolutely everything. And we aren't allowed to tout. So you'd get more instructions by proving yourself, you know, to your clients. And I always say that when you're in court, and even if it is, because I've seen this, you know, I've been up against other parties, and those parties have become my clients, you know, so you don't ever know who's watching you and watching how your competence. You know, you just got to understand that this is, it isn't a sprint, this is a marathon. But I can tell you that it is rather rewarding. You know, it is a very rewarding profession. And that is, of course, if you have the passion for it. It demands a lot of time. You know, this is not an 8 to 4 job. And depending on the firm that you are at, you know, overpay may not be on the tables. But every minute, and this is my belief, every minute in this profession, you should consider it as an investment in yourself. And that is the greatest investment that any person can make, is in themselves. I do see another question, is that for part-time students who are unable to do VAP work, it is a disadvantage. Where and how does one apply for practical legal training if they wish they do that before articles? I can't speak about it in a broader spectrum, but with us, with part-time, I understand the struggle, if I may, about being a part-time student. And I will somewhat try to investigate this and give you more of a concise answer. But for us, as I say, we are trying to extend the VAC work program to even first-year students. But for part-time students, I must concur with the point. It is a bit of a disadvantage because sometimes you would secure a job and you'd come into the profession and you may say that you want to be in litigation, but you may find your passion in perhaps conveyancing. So that's where the VAC work comes in that you'd come into any firm and you'd understand the dynamics in each department. What are the steps after completing your LLB if you want to become a conveyancer, notary, and prosecutor? Okay, so insofar as a conveyancer and notary, I can shed light on that. Insofar as a prosecutor, I'm sorry, I don't have the knowledge on that. But so after you've completed your LLB, you go through 2 years of articles. In the 2 years, you are allowed to write your first set of board exams. I wrote, two board exams, and then I did the other 2 in the next session. The change of the act, where we now have the Legal Practice Act, stipulates that you've got to serve for 6 continuous months before you write a board exam. So the board exams you write are 4 board exams. I'm sure all of you have done or will do accounting for legal practice, and that is, so important in my opinion. For attorneys or legal practitioners to be or to understand mathematics is of great importance, and that's why they even have a board exam for accounting for legal practice. So after you've completed all of your board exams, you are allowed to write conveyancing and notary whilst doing your articles. And on your admission, you would be allowed to be admitted as a conveyancer, notary, and a legal practitioner all at one go. So it's about balancing your time. If you believe that you would like to become a notary or a conveyancer, my advice to you would be that you should consider perhaps doing 2 board exams after the first 6 months, and then 2 board exams in the beginning of your second year of articles. So you have 2 seatings throughout the year to write conveyancing and notaries. And that would, hold you in good stead for if it is your goal to have a double admission or triple admission. That is the process of it. So all in all, the journey to get to that is the precursors would be, you've got to pass your board exams in order to be able to write conveyancing and notaries.
Thank you so much, Jared. That was wonderful, and I'm sure very helpful to our students, especially with the discussion of VAC work and the fact that you don't have a minimum academic mark. I think that's, yes, you focus on the individual and the well-rounded individual. Yes. And also the fact that you're such a family firm and a supportive firm. And I liked your way of seeing it as a marathon rather than a sprint. That
Absolutely.
It really has to be something that you put your everything into. Can I say thank you very much, and we'll move on to our next speaker, who is Lachey. I think I pronounced your name wrongly. Sorry, Lachey Maestri, who is a junior associate at Stolen and Company, which is a Pietermaritzburg-based law firm, also specializing in property and commercial law. And in the commercial bonds division, she completed her articles also at Stoll & Co. And she was admitted just very recently in April 2021. And prior to completing her articles, she got an LLB at UKZN, which we're very proud of course, Pietermaritzburg, and a Bachelor of Science with majors in genetics and microbiology. Also at UKZN. I'm sure you could specialize in patents or any area you liked with that sort of scientific background. But over to you, Lachey. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly, and thank you so much for giving up your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Bridget. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
I must apologize at the outset. We're having a little bit of an issue with the camera quality on my end, but we'll work around that. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. If you could just let me know if you can see what I'm sharing. All right, can you see?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Bridget. Okay, so just to welcome you all to Law Professions Day 2022. My name is Lachey Maestri. I'm an associate at Stoll & Company, and I've obviously completed my articles here, as Bridget, you've mentioned. So I'm just going to run you through our presentation very quickly. Okay. All right, so the structure of my presentation is highlighted on the, I think it's right-hand side for you guys. And then, yeah, so we'll just jump straight into it. About our company, so Stoll & Company was established as a single legal practitioner establishment, and it was established in 1945 by Mr. Errol Walter Stoll. And over its 70 years of practice, the firm has grown from a single practitioner establishment to an incorporated company in 1996. And we can actually be considered to be one of the largest law firms in KwaZulu-Natal outside of Durban. All right, our mission. So our mission is very simply to achieve success for our clients by providing cost-effective services with utmost integrity through united directors and staff, all striving for excellence as a dynamic and leading firm of attorneys. All right, and this is what we expect from people coming in for articles as well. We obviously pride ourselves on the service that we provide to our clients, but also the integrity that we strive to operate with. Right, geographical position. So we've been operating at the same premises since 1989, which I think is quite special. Our building, which we've got a picture up of there, is a listed building and it's actually won several architectural awards. We are ideally situated and we're actually opposite the deeds office or the deeds registry, the Surveyor General's office, the High Court, the Regional Court, District Magistrates Court, and the Master's office, which is all within walking distance. So you are ensured a very holistic articles experience when you're doing your articles at Stoll & Company, and lots of walking, might I add. All right, so the services we provide, we're one of the leading providers of legal services in KwaZulu-Natal. We have a reputation for providing the highest quality of advice in all areas of law. All right, we offer a comprehensive range of legal services to our clients. And on the next slide, we've just got the main legal services that we offer to our clients, just highlighted on this slide. All right, so we've got aspects of property law, including all aspects of conveyancing, commercial law, trust law, company law, divorce and family law, labor law, and estate law, as well as civil litigation, debt recoveries, and criminal law. We also specialize in estate planning and deceased estate administration. All right, so we can honestly say that if you do your articles at Stoll & Company, you'll be starting your legal career at one of KZN's premier law firms, where you get exposure to high-end and top quality work. Our lawyers are team players who are committed to excellence and delivering high quality service. And most importantly, we possess a passion for the law. So when looking for people to do their articles with Stoll & Company, we look for well-rounded people with a high level of academic achievement. Our threshold is a 60% minimum, with commercial awareness and a willingness to learn. I think that last one is the most important. Just being able to be teachable and being willing to take instruction and learn, be it from the support staff all the way up to the directors. Right, I've just got some of our insights from a couple of our current candidate legal practitioners. So I'm just going to leave the slide up for a little while and you guys can have a read through what they've said about their experience so far as candidate legal practitioners at Stolls. All right, I'll just add in quickly that this presentation will be available on our website. So if you haven't had a chance to read through everything, you can go to our website after this and have a look. All right, so just with regards to applications, so we do require a set of documents to consider your applications, and applications for articles 2023 and VAC Work 2022 are currently open. So what we require is a letter of motivation, a comprehensive CV, your most recent academic transcript, all right, a copy of your ID documents or an equivalent, and 2 current contactable references. Okay, once this happens, so you will basically email all that information to the email address that will be provided on the last slide that I'll get to, and our graduate recruitment team will screen your application to assess your eligibility, whereafter, should you qualify for an interview, you will be contacted. For the students that are based in Pietermaritzburg, you are welcome to drop off hard copies of your documents at our offices. All right, and you can get in touch with us for inquiries or follow-ups. You're welcome to follow us on our social media links, which I've provided on the slide, and then our contact information. So you'll note that our website is stated there, where you can find further information with regards to applications for your current candidate attorney or legal practitioner application process. And then we've also got our email address that you can email through the documents that I went through a little bit earlier with you. And you can email all of that to info@stol.co.za, and our hiring manager will be in contact. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope this was informative. If there are any questions, I'll just check the chat box. All right, so I'm just going to answer one that's directly to STOLs. So yes, we do offer VAC work for first year students. You can just obviously send your motivation for VAC work and your most recent academic transcript to the email address that's on this page, and you will get back to you with regards to which session of the VAC work you can be allocated to. All right, I'll just go through some of the other questions very quickly. For a person completing their degree next year, when should one start applying for articles? Next year or this year? All right, so you do apply, but you can apply online. So there is a link on our website where you can upload the documents, or you can send your documents to our email address, that info@stol.co.za. We do recommend that you apply for articles as early as possible. So STOLs does look for articles applications when you are in your 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th year as well. So I think the earlier the better, but yeah, you can apply at any stage of your LLB. All right, so I think those were just the questions that were addressed to me. If there are any further questions, you guys can let me know.
Thank you so much, Lashay, for that most comprehensive and interesting presentation.
Sure.
It's so interesting to see the feedback from your candidate attorneys and the emphasis that they put on mentoring and the teaching and learning the process that they got from being with your firm, how much they learned, how much they absorbed, and the fact that they were mentored and guided.
Yes.
And I think the importance you put on being teachable, not thinking that you're walking in there thinking you know everything, is a good lesson to have. I remember being told that when I started my articles, it was called articles then, that I knew absolutely nothing. I wasn't thinking I'd do anything, which was a bit demoralizing, but that was interesting. And then your fact that you do have a 60% minimum, and you do offer back for work, which is wonderful, and you want people to apply as early as possible, which I think is a good message for the students.
Thank you, Bridget. If I can just address the one last question, because I think it's quite a good one. Some anonymous person has asked, what are you looking for in the motivational letter? So basically, this is just a letter telling us a little bit about yourself beyond your academic transcript. So we want to know who you are as a person, what your interests are outside of university, what your areas that you think you may be passionate are, just so that we can get a better idea of who you are and how we can best serve your needs. So yeah, I think that's a good question. And obviously it's just to get a little bit of an insight into who you are as a person, you know, behind the academic sort of transcript facade that we've got to go through first. We want to know who you are as a person and what your interests are, what you enjoy doing, you know, besides obviously being a law student, and just where your interests lie, so that we can make sure that when you come in for VAC work, we send you to the departments that you have a keen interest in, just so you can see if that's something you would want to further during your article. So thank you for that question. Thanks, Bridget.
Thanks so much. Are there any further questions? Is that That's wonderful. Thank you.
I think that was the last one.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming. And we are very proud of you as one of our alumni and for all you've done in your legal career. Thank you.
Thank you.
I move on now to the law firm which is represented by Nicole Naidu, and she's from Livingston Leandy, where she is an associate. She completed her LLB at UKZN Howard College in 2018, fantastic, and started her articles at Livingston Leandy and was admitted as an attorney in March 2021. So also currently an associate in the maritime department at Livingston Leandy. And also with her is Kanya Nkabisa, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kanya is a second-year candidate attorney, so that's very interesting for our students at Livingston Leandy, and he practices in all the areas of corporate and commercial law with a particular focus on corporate transactions. We've got a lot of corporate and commercial lawyers here. He's been involved in advising clients various commercial matters relating to corporate formations and restructuring, general transactions, mergers, etc. And he is got his LLB from the Free State University, UFS, and he did an LLM at WITS, which he specialized in commercial and business law. So over to you both. I'm sure there'll be questions for both of you and your presentation. So thank you both very much. So Livingston Leandy is now up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clark, for that introduction. Kanya has apologized and he has had other commitments that have come up, as do they come up when you are a candidate attorney, and he is unable to be here today. But I will put up our presentation and I will present on behalf of Livingston Leandy. Should there be any questions for Kanya, especially because he is in the commercial department, there will be an email address at the end of our presentation, and feel free to pop in and pop any emails through to him. I'm sure he would be happy to respond to those emails. Yeah, so he does apologize for not being here. I'm just going to share my screen with our presentation. Dr. Clark, are you able to see that?
I am, yes. No, well, not yes. Yes, there it comes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so firstly, welcome everyone to UKZN's Virtual Law Professions Day. I'm speaking on behalf of Livingston Leandy, and I'm just going to take you through my presentation. So Livingston Leandy is there we go. So Livingston Leandy is a law firm in the Lucia Ridge that was established in 1889. We celebrated 130 years of legal excellence in 2019. So we've been around for a very long time. Being a candidate attorney with Livingston Leandy. So at Livingston Leandy, candidate attorneys are exposed to various legal areas, a range of litigation matters, administrative law, debt recovery, foreclosures, personal injury, medical negligence claims, damages claims, labor and commercial litigation, mediations, and disciplinary inquiries. There are also opportunities for candidate attorneys wishing to gain exposure in our estates and maritime departments. Candidate attorneys are normally rotated to these departments in their second year of their articles. At Livingston Leandy, we only offer a 2-year article contract. So we don't offer articles for 1 year at Livingston. Each candidate attorney is allocated a mentor in our mentorship program in their first year when they join, which aids in their development at the firm. We hold regular meetings with our mentors, and it carries on throughout when you become an associate, a senior associate, and even a junior director. So that mentorship program carries on right through. Training and development during articles. So as a candidate attorney, you have to attend part-time practical legal training, which is offered at the School for Legal Practice. These fees are paid for by the firm, and it's often during the first part of the year. So we normally attend between, I think it's Feb to April, March, for a few weeks, once a week. It's normally on a Thursday that candidates attend. The firm also puts together a candidate attorney development program, which is an in-house training program conducted by the directors in the various departments. These lectures, as we like to call them, happen once a week. And it just touches on each department, and it gives the candidate attorney a chance to engage with that director and that department, because we have a rotational program and you might not be in that department at that time. This provides candidate attorneys with the training required to prepare adequately for their board exams. Board exams, as you know, there are 4 board exams, and those fees are paid for by the firm as well. In keeping with the policy of continuous training, our candidate attorneys are tasked with preparing case law presentations on new and interesting legal developments each quarter. So interestingly, it sort of stopped a bit with COVID, but what we usually do is we have a Wednesday lunch with professionals. So all the directors, associates, and candidate attorneys get together on a Wednesday during our lunch for an hour, and we have a sit-down formal lunch where the candidate attorneys take turns in presenting new and interesting cases that have come up within that month. So, and then it's just a discussion over lunch. So that's something interesting that we do here. A day in the life of a candidate attorney. So the roles and duties of a candidate attorney during their 2 years of articles largely entail spending your time at the office and at various courts. You're given many tasks and deadlines to meet throughout the day. So keeping a diary is crucial, and it's something that you should have started practicing already, being at campus and having your tests and lectures. Candidate attorneys get rotated through the different departments at Livingston, where different tasks are allocated to you. So every department is different. In litigation, you'll be running around to court more often than you would be if you were in the conveyancing department or in the estates department. The role of a candidate attorney is extensive, but the main duties are you are tasked to draft pleadings, letters, and bills of costs. You have to research case law, legislations, and other laws pertaining to specific matters that you're involved in at the time. Also, depending on which department you are in, this will vary. You have to read court files and attend to various matters at court by appearing before a magistrate. You have to attend to queries at court. You have to index and paginate court bundles. You collate briefs for advocates, and you attend a lot of consults with advocates and clients. So it is very, very busy being a candidate attorney. How to do it right and get the most out of your articles. So this is just some advice that we think is important. So it's important to ask a lot of questions until you understand the issues. You know, you coming straight out of university in your first year, yes, you do learn a lot at university, but practically it's very different. So it's important that you understand, or you know that you aren't going to grasp something for the first time, you know, so you've got to ask questions. No question is a silly question. At our firm, our directors they have an open door policy. They are very willing to listen, to hear you out, to explain something 5 times or more if need be. It's important to get involved in as many departments as you can. Don't limit yourself to only your daily tasks, and be innovative, expand your professional circle, and be eager to go above and beyond in all aspects. Often you get put into a certain department, but it could happen where you have a bit of free time in the afternoon. Make an effort, go to another department, say to this director, you know, do you need any assistance? Can I help you with something? That's very important. It's important to remain inquisitive and read as often as you can. We always have new legislation, new cases coming up, new matters, new issues. It's important to be aware of what's happening around you. It's important to put yourself out there and be willing to become uncomfortable so that you can grow. It's advisable to treat the 2 years of your articles as if you were in a long interview. You want to be one of the lucky ones to be asked to stay on as an associate after the 2 years. You know, the firm that you are with is not obliged to keep you on, and often people don't get kept on. But if you are valuable, the firm can't say no, and they will want to keep you on. So that's really important. And then most importantly, don't forget why you started and how hard you have worked to get to where you are. Articles are difficult and it comes with a lot of curveballs, but you've got to remember why you are here. I think that's really important. Livingston Leandy, our staff complement, we've got 10 directors, we've got 5 associates, 3 candidate attorneys, we've got 3 consultants, and 21 staff currently. How to apply for our practical vocational training program. aka articles. So you can apply online on our website, or you can send us an email as well. And then here's just some deadlines. 2022, obviously applications are closed. 2023, our applications are closed as well for next year. For 2024, it will open on the 1st of March, which was this week, and it will close on the 31st of August 2022. For the year 2025, applications for VAC work and articles will open on the 1st of March 2023 and close on the 31st of August. Due to COVID, we have not really been accommodating VAC work students, but I am sure that in the next few months that will open up again. So, things are slowing down a bit with COVID, fortunately. So we will be looking into that if anyone is interested to do VAC work while still on campus. Important to upload with your application is your motivational covering letter, your CV, your matric certificate, your academic transcripts up until the semester before that so if you're applying now, you would upload your academic transcripts till last year, till your last academic transcript, and your identity document. We do understand that not everyone is in and around Durban or Umhlanga, and if you can't make it to an interview, if you're asked to attend one, we are more than happy to do it via Skype or Zoom or Teams. That has happened in the past before. And then important information that you should include in your covering letter is you need to clearly define what position you are applying for, and you need to clearly define what year you are applying for. Those are important to include, and we often find that candidates actually don't include that in their covering letter. And then here are Livingston Leandy's contact details for anyone who has any questions or would like to chat about something. Our office manager is Mrs. Ross. You can get in touch with her. And like I said earlier, if you guys do have any questions for Kanya, who is not here right now, feel free to email him on the HR at Livingston email address, and we will forward those to him. So yes, thank you very much for your time. And if there are any questions, I am happy to try and answer those.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nicolene. That was incredible and gives us a very good insight into how you work. I really liked the fact that you'd rotate candidate attorneys, and the fact that you gave us a lovely glimpse of a day in the life of a candidate attorney. I always think that's useful. I was one myself many years ago, and I like the little pictures with the person running. I seem to remember that was amazing. I was always rushing around. But I think the emphasis on going beyond the course of duty to try and make yourself indispensable to your firm so that you are asked to stay on is very important,
Absolutely.
And asking questions was very good. Now let's see how their questions for Nicolene, questions for Livingston Leandy firm. Nicolene, have you?
I'm just looking. Sorry, I think there was a few. My chat has popped up with 10 questions, but I think some are from the previous presenter.
Yes.
So I've got one here that says, if a person after their LLB works at the Constitutional Court as a clerk, does that contribute to articles, or do you need to do articles for the full 2 years? You know what, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure with that, but my gut is telling me that you actually still have to do your articles for 2 years. So with articles, you can do articles for 1 year and you can do it for 2 years. So I know if you do full-time PLT, you can do it for 1 year. So with us at Livingston, like I said, Livingston doesn't offer a 1 year article contract, and that's because we do PLT on a part-time basis. So hypothetically, if you're out of university and you don't get articles, it's advisable to use that time and do a full-time PLT course. You will then be required to write exams, and then you will be exempt from doing a 2 year articles contract, and you can do it for 1 year. But if you do part-time PLT, you will have to do it for 2 years. But regarding the Constitutional Court, I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay, and then we've got another question from experience. Is it advisable or possible to do a master's degree alongside articles? Absolutely. If you have the time and the energy, that is fine. I've had colleagues who were doing their articles with me that actually completed their masters while doing their articles. Some, when I was in my first year, a friend of mine who was doing articles with me, she had started her articles straight after started her masters straight after university. She did her masters for 1 year, and then she got articles the following year. So in her first year of articles, she completed her second year of her masters. So that is very possible. And yeah, if you have the time, like I said, articles gets very busy, and you also have exams to do, your board exams. But if you do have the time, it is allowed. Good day. Does Livingston Leandy offer back work for first year students? Thank you. Yes, we do offer back year for first year students, back work for first year students. Just like I said earlier, with COVID, that sort of just fell away for a bit, but I think we will be looking at it again. So feel free to pop in any emails regarding back work. We have, prior to COVID, we have had a lot of students coming in. We have a back work program. Students who are at university come in, they go to court with our candidate attorneys, they sit in on lectures, they go to every single department, have a chat with the director, get involved with matters that are on the go for the time being that they are here. So yes, it is advisable to do VAC work at the firm. It's also for you to see if you actually like the culture of the firm. I think that's really important as well. Okay, the next question is, for someone who is not sure which path to follow between being an advocate and an attorney, I would like to know the steps to be followed in applying for pupillage. What channels to look at, since I'm informative about the articles of clerkship. Okay, so I am not an advocate. I am an attorney. But I can tell you that I do know that you can apply for pupillage. You don't have to do your articles before you do your pupillage. You can do your pupillage straight out of university. When you do your pupillage, like when you do your articles, we have board exams. Advocates also have their own exams that they have to pass. And pupillage is similar to articles, but you don't get paid, if I'm correct, Dr. Clark. You don't get paid when you do your pupillage, and it is similar but a bit different. But I would advise that you speak to an advocate to give you proper information regarding that.
I think that's a question. Yeah.
Okay. And then,
is there anything?
Do you plan to develop a virtual experience program with regards to VAC work? That is a very good question and a very good suggestion that Livingston should really look at. We don't have anything like that at the moment in the pipe works, but it is definitely something that I will raise with our board and something that can be looked at. I think it is very important. With COVID now, everything is virtual. Most of our meetings with clients are virtual, even though we can meet. So I think that is a very good idea, and maybe we will look into that. Thank you for that. And then I've got a last question here that says, for part-time working students, is there disadvantage to being hired for articles if they do not do VAC work? Not really. Not everyone does VAC work before you are doing your articles. Like I said, it could benefit you as a person, but it doesn't really benefit the firm. I mean, yes, the firm will get to meet you prior, but it's also good for you to see the culture of the firm. But not at all. A lot of candidate attorneys get hired and they haven't done back work at that specific firm, or they haven't done back work at all. But it is really nice and it's something for you to have on your CV. It shows that your initiative to go out there, find back work, and it also gives you a little bit of experience in the actual real world of, being a candidate attorney. So I think that is important. And then the last one is, what is PLT and how does it differ from articles, and how does one apply for PLT? So PLT is completely different to articles. Articles is a contract you employed, and you employed at a company, at a firm. You are, going to work every day. PLT is your practical legal training. It's a completely different program held by, I think it's LEAD, is one of, so you do lectures and you learn about the law, it basically prepares you for your board exams, and it is one of the prerequisites. You do have to do your PLT. You have part-time and full-time PLT. So I think if you just go onto LEAD's website, you will get more information. But the part-time, like I said, the part-time PLT, you don't have exams, and often with part-time PLT, you are employed and you do your part-time PLT and firms pay for that. With full-time PLT, you can go to night school and do it, or you can do it during the day. people who normally work that do full-time PLT do it at night. And then, like I said, if you don't have your articles and you want to do full-time PLT, that's also advisable. And then you can just do 1 year of articles. But PLT and articles are two different things. Articles is you're working for someone, you're being employed. You have to complete your articles to be admitted as an attorney. And in the same breath, you also have to complete your PLT. So it's not either or, you have to do both. And then I think that is it.
Yes, it looks like it. Yes. Thank you. No, thank you so much, Nicoline. Absolutely wonderful presentation. And I also love the fact that you offer comprehensive in-house training as well. I think that's a very valuable thing for our students to bear in mind, and the fact that you rotate people around so that they get experience in all the different departments, which would prepare them for their board exams. And the Wednesday lunches when they have to present on a case, that's very good practice for them, and very a very good part of learning, and I suppose you use it to assess them as well.
Yes,
so,
yes.
I think that's a wonderful idea. So some very innovative things going on there. Thank you so much. Good. Well, thank you, Nicoline.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, good. No, very, very grateful for your time. So thank you. I'll move on to the next presenter then, and this is Worksmans attorneys who that we've got the graduate manager. Welcome to Ms. Shesni Naidu and Lucretia Ramadou. Now, Ms. Shesni Naidu is the graduate manager at Worksmans attorneys, who is responsible for the candidate attorney recruitment and development. And she's got over 13 years as a human resource professional experience, spanning all types of organizations, from non-profits to professional services. And she's passionate about young people, about education, about development, and she's dedicated to working in early talent, assisting young dynamic graduates in realizing their true potential and reaching their career goals. And Lucretia is a candidate attorney in the corporate mergers and acquisitions department and banking. And she holds an LLB from, she's an alumni of KwaZulu-Natal, where we're very proud to say that she graduated cum laude. So we really look forward to hearing from you. And thank you also for the wonderful prizes that you've brought, the Take-A-Lot prize, and I think the 10 other vouchers. So very, very kind of you. And we look forward to hearing from you, and over to you immediately. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Clark. And welcome to all UKZN law students. Thank you for joining our presentation today. As Dr. Clark alluded to, my name is Shesni and I'm the graduate manager at Worksmans Attorneys. I'm joined by my colleagues Lorraine as well as Lucretia. And I will hand over to Lucretia in a bit. But just to give you an overview of Worksmans Attorneys, we are a leading corporate and commercial law firm. We have 3 offices nationally. Our head office is based in Johannesburg, and we have an office in Cape Town as well as Stellenbosch. We specialize in corporate commercial law. Our clients are multinationals, listed companies, financial institutions, entrepreneurs, as well as government. As law students, you can join us for the following opportunities. We offer vacation work twice a year, and that's both at our Cape Town as well as Johannesburg office. We have a winter vacation program as well as a summer vacation program, and we also offer the candidate attorney internship. That's the 2-year program if you wanting to become a lawyer or a candidate legal practitioner, or as it's been known as an attorney. So there are different phrases and different words for it now. So I will mention a few of those as I go along. In terms of vacation work, we offer that in-house, like I mentioned, at our office in Johannesburg and Cape Town. And what law students can expect from that is you join us for either a 2-week or 10-day program. And the first 2 days is a mini induction. So we introduce you to our firm. You'll get talks from our senior leaders. And the rest of the program, you actually spend it in a team. So we have over 22 practice areas at Worksmans. The firm is structured in 2 areas. So you have your litigation side of things, and under litigation, you would find practice areas such as labor and employment, dispute resolution, insolvency and business rescue. And on the commercial side, you're looking at your corporate mergers and acquisitions, you're looking at your tax law, you're looking at your competition law, etc. So like I mentioned, over 22 diverse practice areas. So as a VAC student, you can spend the rest of your vacation program in a team where they'll give you exposure to what a lawyer does on a day-to-day basis. You'll get involved in tasks, you'll work directly with the director, you'll work with the candidate attorney in the team. You will also be asked to produce a litigation assignment. You will also get a commercial assessment. And during that program, you know, it's like a 2-week-long interview, if I can put it that way, and it works both sides. So we're assessing you and you also assessing us. So you also have the opportunity to get to know the culture, the environment, what it's like to be a candidate attorney at Worksmans. And at the end of the program, you also get a panel interview to join our candidate attorney program. So if everything goes well, you could leave that vacation program with an offer to join us as a candidate attorney. So we recruit for our candidate attorneys at least 2 to 3 years in advance. So at the moment, we are recruiting for our 2024 candidate attorney intake, as well as our 2022 winter vacation program. This opportunity is open at the moment. It closes at the end of April. So that's the 30th of April, 2022. Applications can be submitted online. And in terms of what you can look forward to when you join in a firm like Worksmans, our investment in our CAs starts before our candidate attorneys even join the firm. So part of our offer, if you get an offer from us as a candidate attorney, you get a bursary that covers your final year of LLB studies. You also get a monthly allowance in your final year of your LLB from March to December, and that's to help you with your additional costs in your final year. You get invites to seminars, socials at our offices, and as a medium-sized law firm, you're not just a number. You get individualized training and hands-on experience, working with direct access to the directors in the team. And when we recruit our candidate attorneys, we envisage a long-term career path. So we don't just see you there for the 2 years. We see you beyond the 2 years. We want to see you go from CA to director at the firm. So we put a lot of focus in our training and development into our CAs because we want to promote you, we want to develop you. So that's in terms of what you can join us as a law student. If you have any specific questions about our firm or about our programs, you can pop it into the Q&A section of the webinar, and we'll take that towards the end of the session. And like Dr. Clark mentioned, we'll also be running a competition where you can win some airtime vouchers as well as a take-along voucher. But for now, I'm going to ask Lucretia to come in and introduce herself. And maybe, Lucretia, you can start at the beginning of your journey with Worksmans, tell fellow UKZN students how you applied, how you joined the firm, and what that journey has been like for you.
Thanks, Shazny. Afternoon, everyone. Dr. Clark and fellow UKZN students. So I graduated from UKZN in 2020. I did the straight LLB. I applied to Worksmans at the beginning of my 3rd year. I actually applied for articles straight away. I said, let's just see how this goes. Maybe I'll do back work. But it was actually a very easy, user-friendly process. I applied through Leaply, and I had 2 interviews. There were Skype interviews and 1 interview in person where I came to Cape Town, met a few directors, and honestly, the interview process was a really great experience for me. It was I felt so safe to be comfortable and to be myself, and no one was expecting me to be someone who knew everything. And honestly, that truly translated to my first year when I started articles last year. The culture of Worksmans has been so welcoming, and everyone's got an open door policy. So I think we all felt very comfortable to be ourselves and to not be afraid to not know things. So I think that was something that we were all really worried about when we started, was that everyone would expect the world from us, but the directors and the associates here have all been so approachable. We can ask them questions. They really put a lot of effort into teaching and coaching us. And not only that, but Worksmans also puts aside time for us to have other training, such as lectures from directors in Joburg and in Cape Town. There's also mentorship programs that we get into with other directors in the firm. And it's a very holistic firm in that they really genuinely want you to succeed, and they don't hire you and forget about you. There's a lot of time and effort put into training and coaching and guidance. So I'm currently in my second year rotation. So in your first year of articles, you are in the litigation rotation. I was in the labor and employment team last year. This year, I am in mergers and acquisitions and banking and finance. And just a day-to-day for me this year has been drafting. So drafting sale agreements, property agreements, settlement agreements. A lot of agreements were drafted just in last month. But it's very different compared to litigation, whereas last year there was a lot of running around, a lot of court work. And this year it's more sitting in front of the computer, typing, joining consultations. So you really do get to have a full experience with a 1 year rotation in one team. So I think that's been something that I've really enjoyed, has been working in a team for a long amount of time, like being able to understand the practice, how it works, and getting to know people as well. You meet so many interesting people on a day-to-day basis. So it's just constantly learning. And yes, Shazni, do you want me to go through some of the questions in Q&A?
So I think, tell us a bit more about, for students who find corporate and commercial law a bit daunting, what advice would you give to them, now that you're in your second year and you're in the thick of your commercial rotation? What advice would you give to UKZN law students who find corporate and commercial law so daunting?
First of all, it's totally normal to find it daunting. It's something new, and it's something that you might have never had any experience with. But I think the best piece of advice is to just be, it sounds like such a cliche, but you have to be kind to yourself in that it's something you've never done before. So how are you expected to know what to do? So my approach is that there's really no such thing as asking a silly question. And if there's something I don't understand, I just ask it and get it out of the way. And that's how you learn. So I think the best piece of advice is to just approach corporate and commercial or any type of field with an open mind, and just with a willingness and an eagerness to take in anything and everything that you can. You just, in the first 2 years, you really just have to be a sponge, and you start to see the more questions you ask, the more people you talk to, the more you absorb, and you just become more and more competent every day. I think just don't put pressure on yourself to know everything at the beginning. That's not how everyone starts out. You have to learn. It's a process.
And so tell us about, when you started your first month at the firm, that it's a huge transition coming from university into a working environment. And tell us a bit about your onboarding, your induction experience. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so it was a big transition for me also because I did the whole relocation from Durban to Cape Town. But in the first, I think it was 2 weeks or so, the group of first year CAs and I had our induction week. So that's where we had talks from many directors in the firm, depending on their different practice areas. We also did training, going through different databases on the system, learning how to use Outlook, for example, basically really giving us the rundown on how the firm operates. And there were also many sessions with directors from Joburg who went through the litigation fields, all the court procedures we can expect. Our year was a bit different because we didn't get to have the experience of coming up to Joburg and meeting all the Joburg CAs because of global pandemic and whatnot. But everything was online, and it was just a really great 2 weeks where we got to know everyone before we got stuck into our rotation. It was a lot of information thrown at us, but it was always, everyone was very approachable to go back afterwards and ask questions. And yeah, I think it was a really great introduction to the firm.
And do you have any advice or tips for students who want to apply to Worksmans for vacation work and the candidate attorney program?
Yeah, I think sorry, Shozi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, my connection went low, but I think no matter what year you're in, it's never too late to apply. So start working on your applications now, whether it's through Leaply or any other databases that you can apply through. Also, I think it's good to make use of your resources. So make use of these career days and make use of like the career fairs and anyone you know who's a CA that you can speak to on what you can expect. And then you can kind of gauge, like, is this a right fit for me? Is this something I'm going to enjoy before actually committing to something? It is a big deal applying for articles and getting articles. So try your best to be well informed, and also don't rush your application. Take time, be mindful about what you're saying, because everything you say, this is Worksman's first impression of you. So this is what they're going to see. They're going to see this is what you're interested in. And these will all be topics that can be brought up in a possible interview. So don't try and do one cover letter and copy paste for every firm. Just try and be mindful, like, this is who I am. You just have to be as genuine as possible. Don't try and give Worksmans what you think Worksmans want to see. They want to see who you are, and they want you to be the best version of you. So I think that's the best piece of advice with applications and also interviews.
Thanks, Lucretia. And just lastly, before we get to the questions, any highlights for you, when you think back and you're like, wow, yeah. From your
just for articles or in general?
Yeah, as a candidate attorney so far.
Honestly, surviving the first month last year was like, I'm in my brain, I was like, how did I even do that? Because when you really sit back and think about how much you do in such a short space of time, it's so different from university. You didn't think you were capable of it, and you get through it. So every time I think you do something new, that was like a high. So there was actually last year where we worked on many case updates and articles relating to COVID and vaccinations, and they get published on the website. And like seeing your name come up when you type in like Worksman's article relating to vaccinations, like that's a really cool thing. And I think sometimes you underestimate what you can do. And like when you take a step back and actually analyze, like, oh, I drafted a founding affidavit, by myself. Like it's small victories, I think, that were highlights when you don't realize it when you're doing it, but when you really like look back at the year.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Lucretia. So Lorraine, if you could help us with the questions, we'll take any questions now that have been put on the Q&A.
Definitely. Thank you, Shez. So I've answered most of the questions, but then I have 2 questions for you, right? What performance metrics are used to evaluate whether a candidate attorney is retained as an associate?
Okay, so yes, we do have a set criteria, and that gets handed to you as early as your induction. So it's included in your orientation manual when you start at the firm, so that you know exactly this is what you're going to be assessed against. Some of what's included in there is that there is billable hours. You get given a budget as well as a CA, although we understand that you're on a internship. So we're not that strict in terms of your budget and, you know, how much money you are making, but we do look at your hours, you know, and how many hours are you putting in each day? How many of those hours are used as billable hours towards clients, towards work that your team's needing you to do? There's other things such as being an ambassador for the firm. So you also need to partake in firm events. So like Lucretia is here today to tell you about Worksmans. So those are things. So you represent the firm. There's opinion writing that Lucretia also mentioned. So there's a lot of aspects and various aspects that we look at. We also assess both your rotations. So as you would have gathered, there are 2 rotations in our candidate attorney program. Your first rotation is in your litigation department, and the second one is in the commercial department. And we assess your performance in both your litigation as well as in your commercial. So we look at that. So there's a number of criteria, and that is definitely made known to the candidate attorneys when they start at our firm. But those are just some high-level points of what we're looking for. Lorraine, next question.
Sure, not a problem. How would you suggest candidates prepare for psychometric tests that are part of the recruitment process?
So psychometric tests, well, one way is that they do have practice questions on the website. So most assessment service providers will tell you, they'll send you a link and they'll take you to the website where you can read. There's detailed instructions, you know, from having a stable internet connection to being in a quiet room, being somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed. And then they'll also have some practice questions depending on what assessments you get given. So if you're doing your ability assessments, they will give you a few practice questions on each ability assessment. But if it's a personality questionnaire, that's something you can't really prepare for, because that's based on who you are, what your choices, your behavioral habits are. So that's in terms of how you can prepare for the online psychometric assessments.
Okay, one more last question, or let me say last 2. So what are the main characteristics that Worksmans looks for in their CAs?
So I think, you know, in terms of characteristics, what we always pride ourselves in saying is that come as you are, you know, come with your personality. We have diverse personalities, we have diverse people at our firm. So we don't want a specific personality as such, but in terms of, you know, skills and competencies, I think having the right attitude is so important. And like Lucretia mentioned, being a sponge. So being teachable, being trainable, taking all the information, your willingness to learn and be an asset to your team is really important. We don't expect you to know the law in and out. We don't expect you to, you know, get everything right. You will make mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes. And that's fine. But as long as you're learning from your mistakes, and as long as you are teachable and trainable, because the skills that we'll teach you the law, we'll teach you the areas of law that we practice in, but you've got to be open to that. So definitely having the right attitude. And I think research skills really important. So if you can hone in on those while you're at university, that's something that will stand you in good stead. Attention to detail. So if you can start getting into the habit of checking your work, checking your spelling, checking your grammar, that's also something very important when you're completing your online application. Check your application for spelling, grammar errors. That's very important. And that will also be very important when you come into the workplace. I think your first 3 months is really about getting the small stuff correct, the minor details correct, because as a lawyer, you don't want to send out something that has a spelling error, grammar error. So those are things that you can hone in on now. Lorraine, the next question.
Sure. Thank you for that. What are some tips you can give a student interviewing with Worksmans?
Be yourself. So don't try and be or think that we're looking for a particular type of person and you want to behave that way or give us the impression of who you are, be yourself, because once you're in the workplace, it's hard to pretend to be somebody else. So be yourself, be authentic, and tell us your story. You know, we're interested in hearing about you. So a lot of students, you know, think we want to hear certain things, but we really want to hear your story, your journey, and why it is you're interested in Worksmans, and why are you passionate about corporate commercial law. So be authentic, be able to know, have a general understanding of Worksmans, who our clients are, as well as what we deal with. I think those are important things.
Thank you for that. And one last question. Do you consider graduates 35 years and above for articles?
So yes, we've had applications from people who have embarked on different careers, and maybe they've worked in corporate for a couple of years and then they made the switch to wanting to be a lawyer. So all applications are considered on merit. So we don't really discriminate against age or whether you've worked in the past. We will assess your application based on our criteria and based on the merit that it carries.
Thank you
Anything
so
else,
much.
Lorraine?
Thank you so much. That's about it.
Okay,
one last question. It just got in. Which law firms around Durban are taking LLB students for work?
So we're unfortunately not based in Durban as Worksmans attorneys, so I can't really answer that question. But yeah, we have offices in Johannesburg and the Western Cape. So that's Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Stellenbosch. So that's the three offices we offer nationally. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that we don't have offices in KZN that you can't apply to us. You've heard from Lucretia. She relocated from KZN to the Western Cape, and she's doing her candidate attorney program at our Cape Town office, and she's really been enjoying her experience this far. So sometimes, you know, as a young person, you got to go out there and explore your options and see the country and see the world. Lucretia, what's your comment on the relocation? I'm sure you miss home, but has it been in the Western Cape?
Yeah, I miss home, but I have absolutely no regrets. Some days it's tougher than others, but you have this new type of independence, you're working, you're kind of growing into yourself in a way that probably wouldn't be possible if you were still like at home. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just, it was a great opportunity. So I think don't be discouraged and don't be fearful to apply out of your hometown or out of Durban. It's a good experience.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Lucretia. I think is that all the questions, Lorraine and Chesney? Do you feel I think that was a wonderfully comprehensive insight into what Worksmans offers and your life there. And we're so proud of what you've done. And I love the emphasis that in the interviews you shouldn't try and put on a charade, that it is about values as well. It is about being who you are, and not trying to be someone, pretend to be someone that you're not, but also put your best foot forward, ask questions that people are approached. It's very wonderful to know that in a big, well, a medium-sized firm, really, I would call Worksmans quite a big firm, compared with that the partners are approachable and see you as an investment, and want to see your long-term progress and fulfillment in the firm. So that was very encouraging. The attention to detail, the emphasis on that, I think that's something our students need to take on board. It's no use thinking you can rush a whole lot of things. You've got to think about them carefully and go back on them. I know that's something I was always very guilty of not doing, and it's a lesson that it's a small thing, but it makes an enormous difference. So thank you for that so much, both of you, and Lorraine too. So thank you, Worksmans. We'll now move on to our last.
Dr. Clark, sorry, if we could just interrupt there. We mentioned having the competition, and on the screen there is instructions on how UKZN law students can enter the competition. So if I could just mention it. So basically all you have to do is follow us on Facebook or Twitter. So it's Worksmans Graduates on Facebook, and on Twitter it's at Worksmans Grads, and answer the following 3 simple questions. How many offices does Worksmans have? What type of law do we specialize in, and how can students apply to us? So we'll be giving away 10 airtime vouchers and 1 Take-A-Lot voucher. So the first 11 students to get those questions right will win. So send us a direct message either on our Twitter or Facebook page, and we'll let you know if you're a winner.
That's very kind. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure they'll be greatly appreciated, especially that Take-A-Lot one. Thank you. Thank you for those details. Sorry, I should have included that. So last but not least, thank you. I'll move on to our last presentation, which is from Ms. Tiham van der Ross, who is the KwaZulu-Natal Acting Provincial Human Resources Manager with Legal Aid South Africa, a role she's been in from May 2010. And her role is currently to source suitable candidates for this very interesting and worthwhile role that they could have in the legal and administrative field working for legal aid. So over to you, Saham. We're really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say. Saham, are you there?
Good afternoon.
Oh,
I'd like to
hello.
thank you. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. Legal Aid South Africa, we're honored to be here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get started. I have asked IT to show a presentation. I'm not sure if they are ready to show the presentation. Okay, thank you so much. Okay. As for what the speaker has advised, Legal Aid South Africa, we've been a top employer in South Africa for 2021, and for the previous 10 years, also been nominated as a top employee. We can move to the next slide. Okay. Our vision at Legal Aid South Africa is a South Africa in which the rights and responsibilities is enshrined in our constitution and realized to ensure equality, justice, and a better life for all. Our mission is to be the leader in the provision of accessible, sustainable, ethical, quality, and independent legal services to the poor and vulnerable. Our values at Legal Aid South Africa is Ubuntu, integrity, accountability, service excellence, and people-centered. And our constitutional mandate is we cover both civil matters and criminal matters. We also are involved in some land matters currently, and the sections are Section 35, Section 28, and Section 34 in the Constitution that Legal Aid is mandated to cover. Okay. Legal Aid, we came into operation on the 1st of March in 2015. And in terms of Section 5, Legal Aid, its directors and employees and agents, we serve impartially and independently, and we exercise these powers and perform their duties and functions in good faith without fear, favor, or bias. So what we're basically saying there is we are a parastatal, we are financed by government, but we are not mandated to follow their policies and procedures. We operate independently. Also, our culture, we are proudly Legal Aid, champions of legal rights, serving clients with integrity and confidence. And our slogan is your voice for justice. As I mentioned before, we have been the top employer for the last 12 years. And we lead with integrity, inspiring excellence and promoting values and rights enshrined in the Constitution. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, the type of cases, as mentioned before, criminal, civil, children matters, which is both in the criminal and civil courts. We also deal with some land matters and impact litigation matters. Our mechanism, we have our in-house legal practitioners, who is the graduates that we see here today. Those who apply for in-house to be an in-house legal practitioner, but we also have some private attorneys who act on behalf of legal aid. And then also we have cooperation partners who also act on behalf of legal aid in matters where there is conflict. In KZN, we have 10 local offices. We've got 11 satellite offices, 2 high court units, and we have 2 civil units. Okay, why should you join Legal Aid South Africa? There's ample opportunities for candidate legal aid practitioners across the country. We offer a competitive salary, which includes incentives. We have generous leave benefits. We provide fertile training grounds for young practitioners. We have our own in-house training by our senior legal practitioners and also by external experts. Legal aid employees are noted for their passion, their hard work, their capability in the private sector. The opportunities to join legal aid can become an opportunity to be permanently employed. So what will you receive? You'll receive continuous and ongoing training, coaching and mentoring, access to the latest technology, access to online research facilities, a chance to be part of the biggest law firm in South Africa, a chance at a nation building, a chance to ensure that the human rights are protected, a sense of self-worth and certification. So what are we looking for? We are looking for dedicated and committed individuals with passion for justice, values-driven individuals with drive and enthusiasm, and service orientation. So the opportunities that we had at Legal Aid South Africa currently, we've got the candidate legal practitioners, we've also got criminal legal practitioners, we've got civil legal practitioners, labor legal practitioners, children's criminal legal practitioners, we've also got children's civil legal practitioners, we've got practitioners that deal with sexual offenses, commercial crimes, high court legal practitioners. We also have supervisors, principal attorneys, senior litigators, and then we also have our head of offices in our different locations. So how do you apply to join Legal Aid South Africa? You apply online on our webpage, which is www.legalaid.co.za. And we only accept application via our webpage. Your requirement would be that you should have an LLB degree, and you must qualify to enter into the vocational training program. You will write an assessment and then you will be interviewed. Once we have done the screening, we'll also do a screening process, which will include your credit checks, criminal checks, qualification checks, and reference checks. So on screen now is my details. And you can send us queries via the email address or call us, but we do have a work from home agreement currently, so preferably we would like queries via email. Please don't send your applications to me. Unfortunately, I will not be able to load them onto the site. So please go onto our webpage and then apply there. Thank you very much. That's all from Legal Aid.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful, a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, and a very good insight into the work that Legal Aid does. Now, are there questions from our students? Any questions for Ms. van der Ross? I think the last question was one for Worksmans. I can't see that there's anything, any particular question for Legal Aid. Would you have you been sent any specific questions, Saham?
Not too familiar with Zoom, but I'll check the questions and answers on the screen there.
Yes, I don't know whether anybody had written to you specifically, though. I can't see any. I just wanted to say that all this has, yeah, I think the last question there that I see has been answered.
Yeah, there's a question, are internal transfer students get considered for
yes.
backgrounds?
I think that's the last one there. So, right, well, thank you so much. That completes our afternoon's presentations, and I would just like to say in closing how very inspirational it has been for me to listen to all these opportunities at firms and the opportunities that it has given for our students to come on board and hear what is offered from Jared, Jack Passal speaking from J. Leslie Smith, to Lashe Maestri from Stoles. Thank you so much for that wonderful insight there into that firm. And then the excellent presentation by Nicoline Naidu from Livingston Leandy, which really gave us a feeling for that firm. And then the wonderfully interactive presentation by Worksmans, and we also thank them for their very generous prizes, with Chesney and the amazing presentation by one of our alumni, Lucretia Ramadou. That was amazing. And I think we've all learned a lot about the enormous work that is required in being a candidate attorney, but the immense benefits that can be brought and the support that one does get along that difficult marathon, in the words of Jared Jackpath Road. So thank you all so much. And without further ado, students, remember this is recorded. You can always go back, listen, and contact anybody or anything, or find out something that you missed this afternoon, because it's an enormous amount to take in. I myself am struggling to remember all the details of the different firms this afternoon. So thank you very much. I think, Hazel, is there anything you'd like to add as well? Hazel's been amazing. She's done talk about attention to detail. She's done all the background work. Grateful to you all who work behind the scenes here tirelessly to help our students. So thank you, Hazel.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clark, for facilitating the afternoon sessions in such a professional manner. We wrapped up on time. We really appreciate that, and for all the insights that you contributed also in between, making sure that our students interact with our law firms and Legal Aid. Thank you so much to my colleagues, ICS, Musaket, Robin, thank you so much, and to Professor Friedman and Dr. Holness for all the support. Students, this is available on our Facebook page, the CLMS Facebook page, and our UKZN YouTube channel. So from time to time, please go back, refer, and make sure you do not miss those deadlines. Some of them are upcoming shortly now in March, so that you don't miss out on opportunities. So I wish you all the best and have a great afternoon. Thank you.